Danfo offers unparalleled, curated, and bespoke tours across Africa for travelers seeking genuine cultural experiences, enriched with magnificent sights, sounds, and flavors found on the continent. Each trip is reliably curated to ensure visitors are gifted with an immersive and authentic adventure. Whether you find yourself strolling along the charming white sand beaches of Sierra Leone, feasting on the mouth-watering delicious foods in Senegal, observing or partaking in various aspects of the Isheshi traditional system Ifa native to Yoruba land, Nigeria, with Danfo, you will rediscover a fulfilling sense of kinship to the true heart of the motherland, her communities. Our core values focus on integrity, quality, safety, and sustainability. We are uniquely committed to assisting with the advancement of African infrastructure and promoting African businesses, so both travelers and the communities they visit receive beneficial exchanges. At Danfo, we understand the importance of connectivity, and we have created a model which provides bespoke experiences based on your passions or hobbies. With us, expect a long-lasting spiritual bond between you and your destinations. Live, love, Danfo, Africa. To learn more, visit danfo.africa.
Peace, fam. We are live again. Dynasty Mirror Search for Huru. Thank you all. Thank you so much for joining. Camera's gonna remain off. Oh, using wrong mic, wrong mic. There we go. We're on the right mic now. We're on the right mic. Camera is going to remain off because, if you guys don't know, I stream in my bedroom and I'm washing my sheets right now. I'm doing laundry. So, camera's gonna remain off for right now. But guys, hit that like button. Please hit that like button. Also, make sure you share and make sure you subscribe. I will greatly appreciate it. Got a couple of announcements. We are rolling to Cape Town, March 25th through April 2nd. Hold on. March 25th through April 2nd. Get my mic together. If you are interested in joining us, please visit donfo.africa. Again, please visit donfo.africa if you're interested in joining us. Again, we are rolling to Cape Town, and that is going to be March 25th through April 2nd. There we go. Bam. Cape Town in all its glory. You see Tabletop Mountain back there. Well, that's actually not Tabletop Mountain. That's what mountain is that? It's not Tabletop Mountain. But yeah, so that's where we're going March 25th through April 2nd. We're also going to Senegal in May for the Jazz Festival. That's May 9th to the 18th. Nigeria in August for the Oshun Festival. That's August 9th to the 18th. Zanzibar in September 20th to the 29th. And then we're going to Ivory Coast and Ghana in November. If you're interested in joining us, please visit donfo.africa. We just got back from Sierra Leone last week. Had a great time in Sierra Leone. Again, we had an excellent time in Sierra Leone. Y'all should have joined us. Again, y'all should have joined us. We had an excellent time. Excellent. How y'all feeling out there? How's everybody feeling? So there aren't travel restrictions to those African countries? I don't understand your. Well, no. So for Burkina Faso and Mali, American nationals, they're not issuing visas for them to go, and this is in response to the travel ban that Trump put on them. Which, listen, I'm in full support. If you want to, if you want to have reciprocate whatever the U.S. is doing, that's your right. I'm not too sure about Niger. Again, if you want to do that, hey, that is your right to do that. So I have no problem with it. Again, I have absolutely no problem with it at all. Um if Niger and Burkina Faso and Mali say, hey, if we can't come into your country, you can't come to ours. It is what it is. Those are the rules. So that's tonight's topic. Me myself, I've been to Mali 3 times, and it's interesting because I mean it's interesting because I can't. It's like part of me, like even with the say there was no visa ban in Mali, I really still can't go because of the unrest and the radical Islam doing what radical Islam does um in the northern part of the country. And so everything I do in Mali when I go visit is in the north, and it's not safe. I've never been to Burkina Faso. I know there's a group that just went to Burkina Faso uh, with Dr. Ericana not too long ago, and I'm sure they had a great time. But yeah, but I can't, like I said, I can't even go to Mali because of
Taxes.
just the unrest. And this is not me just saying this. This is my yeah, yeah, yeah. If I'm saying I can't go, then trust me. I'm like, because all my contacts on the ground in Mali, they're like Dynish, they've been telling me and this has been for the past 3 years. Like shit, longer than that. The past 4 years, 4 or 5 years. Dynish, it ain't safe to come. Now you could go to Bamako, but all the fun is up north, in uh Sevare and Dogon country and Mopti and Timbuktu. That's where all the fun is at. Man, it's not safe to go. And like my man Wally said, if I'm saying it's not safe to go, it's not safe to go.
Feeling unwelcome.
There you go.
Now Taxes is an open door to
No,
new
I'm not buying
TurboTax
YouTube
stores.
Premium. Y'all
Meet
listen
our
to commercials.
experts. They do your taxes, so you can walk out with confidence. Now this is Taxes.
But can we have honest conversation, guys? Honest conversation here. How many of you guys are planning on going to Niger, Mali, or Burkina Faso? Mali does not have full control of Timbuktu. It's ran by the Islamic extremist terrorists. That's who's running. That's who's running Timbuktu now. That's who's running Timbuktu now. But yeah, but how many of you guys were planning to go to Mali, Burkina Faso in Niger? Honestly, seriously. Now, I do not agree with the ban, but how many people were planning on going there? Links in the chat room. You gonna call in after conversation? You know what? You know what? Wow. You ask That's an interesting question. So I was interested in going to Niger back in 2024, or was it 2023? I think it's 2024 from Zanzibar because there's a festival that goes on. There's a ethnic group or tribe in Niger called the Wudabi. And so every like around end of September, early October, they have this festival where it's like a where the single men and the single women they get together and they start court this courting process they go through for marriage. And I've been wanting to go. So I called the embassy in New York, the Niger embassy in New York. And then yeah, the Wudabi. And I was like, hey, there's this festival, the Wudabi, I would like to go. Can you, where I need to go? They had no clue about it. They had absolutely no clue about it. Yes, you can. There's people that go out. In fact, there's a documentary on YouTube about the festival called Herdsmen of the Sun. Again, it's Herdsmen of the Sun. That's the name of the documentary. It's a famous documentary. And I even brought up the documentary, and these people in the office at the embassy who said they work with tourism said they had no clue about it. And I was so disappointed. I was so disappointed. Go ahead, Brandon.
Hey, Dynas, can you hear me?
You on your Getro PCS, but go ahead.
Man, they still doing me dirty, man. What the hell is going on? I got a new phone and everything just for you.
You must be on Figueroa.
No, never. Why would I ever go on Figueroa? That's crazy. You're absolutely crazy for that. Hey, Dynas, man. I hope you can hear this good. Listen, all this points to is what I said a while back about these Burkina, Mali, Traore.
Brandon, you're breaking up, man. Golly, man, I'm trying to hear you, Brandon. Go ahead, Brandon.
Y'all thought y'all too good for me now.
Now we hear you. You sound better, but you be on your Getro PCS.
Hey, man, listen. All right, I'm on Getro. All right, y'all ain't gotta make fun of me. You feel me? Hold on. Okay, so basically, Dynas, these people, they're running these countries. They're not qualified to lead any country, and they're running the countries like their own personal boys club. We're not going to let you into our country because you won't let us into your country. Yet we have a radical Muslim element that we are unable to control. Why would any country issue visas for Burkina Faso when Burkina Faso and Mali have radical Islamic issues and they don't really have control over what's going on in their own country? It takes very little effort for a terrorist to get a visa out of one of those countries and be over in the United States blowing stuff up. It's a safety issue. It's not racism. And instead of acknowledging it for what it is, because they're unqualified, they choose to try to make it like it's some type of racial issue, and then basically hurt themselves, because Americans, we do tourism and we spend. So who are you hurting? Burkina Faso. Okay, you could just go to the next country over. Very similar experience. It's just inadequate leadership. Like I called out over a year ago, and Traore is not proven to be anything more than what I suggested that he was.
Mm. Let me bring Elvis on. Go ahead, Elvis.
All right. Thank you, Dennis. And what's up, Brandon? Look, I mean, this is not a big deal. You know, if Burkina Faso had done this first, it might be some implications. But in diplomatic, in the diplomatic corridors, there's something called reciprocity, where if a country is extending goodwill to you, it's the right thing to do to extend that same goodwill back in kind. In this instance, where they're being, they're on the ban list, Burkina Faso is, reciprocating that, that same gesture back to the United States. So I don't think it's a hostile act. I don't even think it's an offensive act to the United States. It's something that happens in, in a diplomatic corridors with bilateral, countries. So there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, on the largest, scale, I want to hear what T. Khalid and maybe even Brandon has to say about what's going on with the Trump administration when it comes to other countries not respecting their sovereignty. Other people may talk about the Monroe Doctrine, and anything in this Western Hemisphere is pretty much the United States. But if you look at the United Nations Charter, I think it's Section 3, Article 3, Section 8. Talking about using force on a sovereign nation, especially one that is offensive rather than defensive. It's against the charter, and the United States is a signee to the United Nations Charter. So it's going against international law by doing what it did in Venezuela. And a country like Burkina Faso, who may be now against the interests of the United States in Africa or in the Sahel, could easily be, you know, uh, um, invaded, and maybe their leader could be taken out if President Trump deemed him to be a threat or to be a head of some kind of terrorist organization. Maybe not a cartel like the Venezuelan president, but maybe a terrorist organization, because that's something that they could pin on him, because there's terrorism going on in the northern part of Burkina Faso. So, as an African, maybe a Pan Africanist, I don't know what your thought is on that, Dynas, or maybe Brandon can chime in too. But I'll
Man,
leave it there.
my thought is that you're totally misrepresenting the UN Charter, because the UN Charter says that you cannot use strikes in the interest of taking territory. Trump didn't take any territory. You're misrepresenting that. Trump struck Maduro because of the fact that Maduro is facilitating the import of drugs into America. On top of that, Maduro is the illegitimate president. He stole the election. This is what everyone knows. 2024, he stole the election, and honestly, there isn't even a single country in the world that recognizes Maduro as the true president of Venezuela, except for the countries that he sells oil to, and he sells oil to countries that are hostile to America, including but not limited to Iran, the number one world sponsor of terrorism. So you tell me what land Trump confiscated, in after doing the strikes, and then we can talk about the UN Charter, Elvis.
Dynas, if you can put it up, right? Yeah, that's just only one part of it, but it talks about aggression. So if you're just trying to pick one part of it and
Yeah,
focus on it, it's not the entire.
Elvis, I'm to the point now. What does it matter?
Right, and that's the point that That's the point I'm trying to say. The point here is that he went against the UN Charter.
Yeah,
Brennan is trying to say that.
Elvis, what I'm saying is, what does it matter? Like, what does it matter that which president has not went against the UN Charter?
I mean, people use that same thing with Obama But Obama in Libya was actually a UN resolution. You have to look that up. That was a UN resolution, and they went through, the right corridors to go into Libya.
What about
With George,
Obama in Somalia?
That was the right corridors.
What
yeah,
about
a
Obama in
UN. That's what you
Somalia?
have. Hold on one
Wait,
second.
so
That's
Obama killed Gaddafi.
hold
Obama
on.
administration killed
You
Gaddafi.
there's certain international law you have to go through
Trump didn't
certain
kill.
corridors.
Trump just
Obama
killed.
Which
killed Americans.
guys, if you just guys, if they're just going to interrupt me, I'm just going to pause. I mean, I'm not.
Elvis, what part of the UN charter did Obama go through to get permission to bomb Doctors Without
They
Borders?
had a United Nations resolution.
Okay, so I'm talking about when he bombed Doctors Without Borders.
I mean, are you, Dinus? Where did he bomb the Doctors Without Borders? In what country?
In Syria.
Okay. Was it a U.S. resolution to bomb Syria?
Okay, but are you excusing the fact that he bombed the doctors?
No, I mean, if you're talking about collateral damage doing an act of war, fine. Maybe he should be prosecuted for that since he bombed innocent people. But I'm saying the act of going there wasn't illegal. It wasn't unilateral. It was through a resolution. My point
Dynasty.
here, even with 1 second, Brandon, even with George W. Bush.
And I'm sorry, it was in Afghanistan. I apologize.
Okay. And that again, that was a war zone. That was an active war zone. That's the point I'm trying to get to. The war in Afghanistan and Iraq was, got approval from the Congress, and they declared war on Afghanistan and Iraq. So those are active war zones, and the U.S. have the right to go and take, military actions there. There's not been a declaration of war against Venezuela, and they went in there and committed, military acts without approval from Congress or UN resolution.
Hold on 1 second. When Obama went into Libya, he didn't get congressional authorization.
There was a UN resolution for
Libya. Yemen or Somalia. This is just hypocrisy, Dinus. If you look,
the war in Yemen was through the war on terrorism.
And this is in the war on drugs. And this is the war on drugs. Dinus, the UN Charter states that you cannot aggress against a country in the name of stealing their sovereign land or to facilitate regime change, right, Dinus? Currently, Maduro is in prison, but Maduro's vice president, I think her name is Dulce Rodriguez, she is now the acting president. That is the same Maduro regime. They have not done any regime change, so Trump has not broken any law.
Nah, you got to read the full charter, bro.
He didn't take any land, and he did not facilitate regime change. The Maduro regime is still in charge of Venezuela as we speak. Trump broke no laws. You just don't like Trump and just say that. Don't pretend like you have some type of premise to base your dislike or hatred on.
Read the charter, bro.
I've read it extensively, Elvis.
What did he leave out? Can you just tell us what he left out?
Dinus can put it out. I don't know if verbatim, but you can put it out.
You brought it up. What did he leave out, Elvis?
Making a claim.
Pull it up, Dinus. Because it talks about attacking a sovereign nation. There's multiple points in there. The first thing he said, he tried to use the first point.
Is Libya a sovereign nation?
Did you hear what I said, Dinus? A UN resolution?
I heard what you said, but it's just
an excuse.
Okay, then. A UN resolution goes through this.
An African making the excuse.
Okay, I mean, you asked me a question, but you don't want me to answer. Fine, I guess.
Go ahead and answer it.
Right. A UN resolution means that the Security Council of the United Nations, I think it's 5 nations, right? They come together and they decide whether to take military action in an international conflict or international, situation. And those countries all have to agree. And they all did so to attack Libya. It's not the same thing with Venezuela. There are countries that's condemning what happened in Venezuela. Even Russia is condemning what happened in Venezuela.
Russia is condemning Trump while Russia is violating the UN charter as we speak.
In Ukraine. Thank you. Elvis, come on, stop it.
Shut up, Elvis.
Elvis, stop it. Just
okay, that's what I'm saying. You guys are so talking out both sides of your mouth.
Your argument is, I guess your argument is, since you brought up Russia, when Russia literally violated the UN charter to invade Ukraine.
Right, and I'm saying the same thing here. When you're talking about why Obama went to Syria. I'm telling you that wasn't a unilateral decision. It was something that the United Nations came together, the Security Council, and took that action in international affairs. With Trump, he went in there and used some bullshit argument to go in there and remove a president, go in there and attack a sovereign country that didn't attack the United States.
What was it? What was the
Now,
bullshit argument?
in
What
that
was,
inve-
what was the bullshit argument?
the bullshit argument that he's making is that Maduro is ahead of the a drug trafficking cartel. If you guys remember, there was a president
What
of I think
cartel, Elvis?
hold on. I think it's the cartel of the sun, right?
That he's the leader of that cartel.
Hold on 1 second. Let me just make my point, right? That's the claim, right? But just a few months ago, President Trump pardoned the former president of Honduras, who was convicted of drug trafficking and was sentenced to, I think, 20 years. He pardoned that guy. So if you're taking the stance that you're against drug trafficking and people who are head of states who are involved in drug trafficking in the United States, to pardon a guy who was convicted and sentenced to 20 years in jail and then go into a country and then, take out Maduro when he had previously said that he wanted to get the oil from that country. And he said in his press conference, I think yesterday or this morning, that they're going to run Venezuela. They
Dinus,
talked about
Dinus.
Can I say something? I haven't
Well,
spoken.
let me pass it to Castro, then I'm gonna pass it to V. Go ahead, Castro.
All I have to say to all of this Trump rhetoric that's going around right now. Let's say you're right. Let's say he's a criminal and he broke the law going into Venezuela. Who's gonna do something about it?
Nobody.
That's it. That's all I gotta say. That's it.
Nobody.
And Elvis, I'm gonna pass it to V. Elvis, you know the UN also said that black folks in America are owed reparations. We ain't got our checks yet.
again. I mean, you are what am I? The
Excellent
United
point,
Nations
Diamond.
representative on the show. I'm just telling you certain things certain actions is illegal. Now, if Trump wanted to go to Venezuela,
Since we haven't got
there's a way he can go about it, but he didn't do that.
since we haven't got our reparations yet because the UN says so, is that illegal?
I mean, what are you talking about,
What
Dinas?
do you mean? What I'm talking about? You brought up this UN resolution. The UN had it as a resolution that black folks are owed reparations. We ain't got it yet, so is that illegal?
You see how
What
Africans play
what
stupid
point?
when it's convenient?
What point are you
All
trying
the
to prove
second
or
do what you
disprove
say.
that I've made?
The point he's trying to make is that the UN has no way of enforcing anything, and none of their edicts are binding. So there's not a whole lot that you could have your little resolution and say that black people are owed reparations or whatever, but that's not binding. People violate what the UN says all the time. It's merely suggestions, to be honest.
Yeah, look,
Hey,
the UN Charter is a treaty, right? And the United States signed onto that charter, right?
hey,
Voluntarily, they help
hey,
establish the United Nations. So yeah, you could go
Elvis.
against it.
So again, Elvis, my question is the United States acting illegally by not giving black folks reparations because the UN said that black folks deserve reparations?
It's not against the UN. Not giving reparation is not against the UN Charter.
Oh
It's a
Lord.
It's a finding that they formed through investigation.
Oh Lord
So
Jesus.
that's what I'm
Hey,
saying.
Dinus,
The US didn't sign on a document that said it's supposed to give black
hey,
people reparations.
The UN doesn't recognize Traoré as the president of Burkina Faso. So because they don't recognize it, do that mean he not the president? See, that's
My
this is
overarching point. 1 second,
this is
Brennan, and I'll pass the mic. My overarching point here is, I remember
you
T.
mean
Khalid.
arcing?
Overarching, if you said that. I think T. Khalid and even Brennan, maybe Diners were making the point that Trump is a non-interventionist. He doesn't want to get involved in things overseas. He's America first. He's only focused on the United States. But now we're hearing these guys making the opposite argument that he has a right to do it. Matter of fact, who's going to stop him?
No.
So you guys are telling us to vote for him because he's not a
I disagree.
interventionist.
No, Gash, I disagree with what he did.
Okay, but you're not saying that. You're very quiet on that part.
Trying to defend Obama with what he did with in Libya by using this UN charter example is just laughable.
Because it's different. Because Obama didn't go into Libya unilaterally. He didn't go there by himself and take actions. He went to the United Nations Security Council. They discussed it, and those 5 nations decided that the military actions was necessary. and they went into
Obama,
Libya. It's completely
Obama didn't
different.
go anywhere. Hillary Clinton went, and she
Fine,
came back and told him to
whatever
do it.
you want to say.
But look
Not
at
going to
this.
argue that point.
The legitimate democratically elected president of Venezuela is Edmundo Gonzalez, not Maduro. So if it was Edmundo Gonzalez, I might have a little bit of a reservation on it. But since all Trump did was arrest a no good dictator cartel leader, I have no problem with it. The man is not an elected official.
A
He is someone
hypocrisy
who
of conservatives, right? And MAGA.
he stole the election in 2024. He also stole the election in 2018. The UN acknowledges that Maduro stole the elections. They have proof. They caught him red-handed. So he's not really the president. On top of that, you brought up Orlando Hernandez, who was the president of Honduras. That guy was indicted by Biden. That was illegal. And Biden indicted Hernandez just so that he could institute regime change in Honduras. But Elvis, you didn't have a problem with that. That is why Trump pardoned Hernandez, because Hernandez was not even closely or remotely associated with the drug cartel, but Biden accused him of being a drug cartel.
You know what a pardon means, Brandon?
Why did you have a problem?
You know what a pardon means?
Why do you have a problem with it?
He didn't exonerate him. He pardoned him.
Okay, Elvis,
meaning that he admitted that he was guilty.
I didn't interrupt you. Why did you not have a problem when Biden did it to Hernandez, but all of a sudden, who was a democratically elected president, but you all of a sudden got a problem with it when Trump does it to Maduro, who's not even elected? Who's not even democratically elected?
First of all, you're making a straw man argument. My point here is that... No, I'm not
making a straw man argument.
Let me make my point, please, since you asked me a question. I'm going to do a quick research when I stop talking, if the case with that president started under Biden or it just concluded under Biden. I'll go and research.
No, it started under Biden.
Hold on. Let me make my point. My point here is that Biden didn't go into Honduras and strike Honduras and kidnap the guy and brought him to the United States. Did he do that?
He wasn't kidnapped. He was detained.
Did he do that?
He was detained. He wasn't kidnapped.
Of course, he wasn't.
Dinus, we got somebody.
This is the smoke train that these guys run. They think they're smart. We're not stupid, bro. It's not the same thing.
He was. I don't understand why, black folks are defending a guy like Maduro.
No, I'm not. I don't care about Maduro. I'm saying you guys said that you didn't want Trump to intervene. You guys said you didn't want Trump to intervene in other countries, but now you're quiet about him intervening in other countries.
I'll pass the mic to V. Go ahead, V.
Oh, hello guys. Thank you, Dennis, for letting me on. I want to speak about the reciprocal action by the alliance of the Sahelian state, and that's what they are now, and they're doing very well. Contrary to what Brandon is saying here. I mean, I know Brandon, for some reason, have an issue with Ibrahim Traore, but considering what the country had in the past, Ibrahim Traore is doing very well. When he took charge of the country, it's only 40% of their national territory that they were in control of. Currently, they're well above 70%. That to me is
30%.
Huh? What did you say?
They in control of 30% of Burkina Faso.
At the time, or you mean currently?
Currently.
No, they're not. They're not in charge of 30%.
How do you know this?
Hey, Brandon, let
I'm in Ghana.
Let her finish.
I'm in Ghana. I'm in Ghana. Don't laugh. I'm in Ghana.
In Low Beach. What does that have to do with anything?
Can I finish? Okay, I'm in Ghana, and we're not having refugees problems as we were having in the past regarding the people from Burkina spilling over the borders into both Ghana and Ivoria. As we speak, many of them are going back, even including the diasporans are going back. So don't just listen to your CNN.
Where you letting go?
Y'all, let her finish. Don't interrupt.
Why are you interrupting?
Go ahead, V.
Don't just listen to your CNNs and your other traditional medias that want to portray those countries as some sort of dead end countries that is not going to rise from the difficulties they're in. They're doing very well. Up until I don't support military coups, by the way, but they did not have any option. They had to do something. You had puppet governments that they were running this country. They have sold their natural resources to a pittance, and those countries dependent on their natural resources to take care of their people, to build a nation. They were getting next to nothing. There was a French company mining in Burkina Faso, and he was only giving about like $1 billion a year to the nation. Traore came in, he stopped it, he put it under what is it called? Under a national, nationalized the mining company, that particular company. And last year they got over $10 billion. Come on now, what's wrong with you black men? Come on, rise up and defend Africa and stop all this. You sitting in America and you're talking about
Where did she get?
who's talking now? Can I just finish?
Hey, listen, Dynast, we can listen to anybody talk, but blatant lies. Come on now.
Brandon, I want to hear
blatant lies. But you, Brandon, you think you're speaking the truth, yeah? You think you're speaking the truth. I can tell you evidently that Burkina people are not flooding over the borders in Ghana. They're not flooding over the borders in Ivoria. So to me, that is a success because these people feel that they can stay in their country safely. Up until Traore took over, women and children could not stay in their beds. They were being chased out of their villages. And you live in such countries where they depend solely on their arable and their animal herding and all that stuff. And these terrorists were going around stealing their crops, come harvest, they are down onto them, taking their harvest, taking their animals. And if you live in such country, it means it's either you will die because that is what you depend on. And now people are going back into their country and believing that they can build their country back. So what am I supposed to be lying about? You're sitting in America and listening to your CNNs and other stuff telling you lies. People are on the ground seeing difference. Even your own government, Donald Trump, is chasing after Traore, trying to get some sort of relationship going with them because they have seen, even one of your generals said, he's something to do with Africa. He said that he is impressed with what they're doing. So what are you people sitting there talking about? I would not defend them if they were doing something wrong. I don't just like them for the sake of liking them because people in those countries are seeing changes. You're talking about Libya. I heard the panel came up with Libya and said, Libya was a NATO, whatever they call it, NATO operation, by the way. And they said they did get some, is it UN approval or whatever. What difference did it make? Whether they got UN approval or they did not. They destroyed Libya. And now Libya is in 3 bits. They're not a uniform country anymore. You have the places where they are siphoning off their oil and their gas into Europe. And a group of people are controlling that. You have another part where there's some sort of so-called recognized legitimate government that is not in fully control. And then you have the Bedouins that also down south that they're also doing their own thing. So what did it achieve? And on top of that, the reason why we had all these proliferations of arms going down to the Sahel area, where now they're about 10 years, they're having all that upheaval going on with those insurgents that troubling them, is because of Libya. Libya's part of the reason, because Gaddafi did say that he warned the European Union that if you guys remove me, you will have, the whole place will be destabilized. And that's exactly what happened. Don't sit in America and listen to this. You're not seeing what the people are suffering down there, So don't sit there and say, oh, they're not doing, they're doing, very soon they will have their own currency. They have money to raise almost $1 billion to set up their own banks. I'm wishing them.
V, let me pass the mic to Alan, and we'll come back to you. Go ahead, Alan.
Okay.
Alan. All right, Alan, going once. Somebody got
Can I
background
chime
noise.
in, Diney, while you waiting on Alan?
Yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
yeah,
Go,
I'm
go,
here.
go.
I'm
Oh, go
here.
ahead, Alan.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear him mention my name. Yeah, I what I wanted to say was that as far as the whole Trump invasion of Venezuela, I am a little torn on that. Because at the end of the day, Maduro did this to himself. As Rubio had said on television, one thing that Rubio said that I do agree with is that they gave him plenty of opportunities to leave and to and very generous deals that he could have left and been and gone someplace else. He chose not to, and in choosing to stay and then continue to threaten his neighbors, which is another thing that a lot of Americans were not paying attention to. Um, he was threatening to take a third of Guyana because they discovered oil. He is. He can't process all the oil he has. He's sitting on the greatest oil reserve on the entire planet. He can't process the oil, but he wants the oil that's discovered someplace else, making claims dating back to the 1800s. And then when Trinidad and Tobago went ahead and which is just 7 miles off the coast of Venezuela, when he went ahead and when they went ahead and sided with the United States, he threatened them, saying, "Well, that used to be part of us too." He was a menace, and if he had the capability to, he would have taken over himself all the other places in the region. So he is nobody to really cheer for or anything like that, and he did this to himself. However, now the United States has an oil colony in South America, which is what this is. They're trying to keep China and Russia. This has a lot to do with de-dollarization and other things like that. It has nothing to do with the drug, the fake drug excuse that was brought up and they came up with. I think that so I am torn on it, but no doubt about it, nobody should feel sorry for Maduro for putting himself in that sort of position. In terms of the travel ban for U.S. nationals, that is very appropriate. I don't think it's inappropriate at all. It's reciprocal. Bans on people's passports and visas. So that's a thing between countries. Black Americans are Americans after all, and so if they ban Americans, they ban you, and so there's nothing wrong with that.
We ain't tripping. Dinus, can I respond to that?
Alan, you done?
Can I go, Diney? Because I got the road.
Well, hold on, Alan. Are you done, Alan? Okay. Go ahead, Skywalker, and I'll pass it back to you.
I don't
Brandon.
think
Go
he's
ahead,
on.
Skywalker.
Okay. I got two issues. First, the travel ban. I completely agree with it. I mean, reciprocal action is just common sense. They ban you, you ban them. I see nothing wrong with that. And also, me personally, as much as I love the love that we get from Mali and the diaspora, and the AES and the diaspora, I still think that they need to be very, very careful dealing with the diaspora because there's a lot of African agents and self-hating people in that group. So they need to they need to walk on eggshells when they're dealing with the diaspora, as much as Pan-African as I am. Secondly, as somebody who actually works in prosecution, I know for sure that when a indictment is passed against you, that means that they have a plethora of evidence against you. And so anyone who anybody who's skeptical of the American justice system, I get it. I mean,
Hello?
can you hear me? Hello? Dinus.
Bro, we hear you loud and clear.
Okay. I was just making sure. But anyone who's skeptical of the, American justice system or whatever, sure, some mistakes are made sometimes. But when an indictment is brought before a grand jury, there is a plethora of evidence against you. And so if they've indicted this man on top of all the other crap,
Y'all calling on Pietro today.
Yeah, I support what I support. Yeah, somebody keeps. Yeah, but I support whatever happened to the guy. When so there was a lot of evidence against him, and like I say, we're just spectators. I mean, we don't know what's going on. Obviously, the CIA, the FBI, the DEA, they've been watching this guy for a long time. They have a lot of more information than we got. All we can do is sit back and speculate. Thirdly, someone mentioned Libya. Me personally, I don't like I don't, I never supported. I mean, Gaddafi in terms of his rhetoric. Yeah, he sounded like a Pan African, but he's an Arab. Gaddafi was an Arab, hands down. I mean, so for all we know, the rhetoric that we heard from Gaddafi was nothing but a strategic plan to unite Africa so they could set up Arab police stations all around Africa. Had Gaddafi had his way, we probably have Arab terrorists everywhere, so all around Africa. So I'm always look at Gaddafi with a skeptical eye. People who support Gaddafi with a skeptical eye, because this was a non-African supporting Pan-Africanism, who, in my opinion, was just using Pan-Africanism as a rhetorical strategy in order to galvanize support from other African revolutionaries. But I'm so glad that he didn't have his way, and whatever happened to him happened to him. But that's all I had to say, man. You guys have a nice night.
Okay, go ahead, Brandon. I'm gonna pass it to Teddy. Then after Teddy's Elvis.
All right, Dynas, to Alan's point, people keep bringing up the oil situation. They're very ignorant. They don't know what they're talking about. That oil over there in Venezuela is our oil. Way back in 2017, after Venezuela made deals with American oil companies to build their oil refining infrastructure, Hugo Chavez came in and declared himself a socialist, and he took control of the means of production. That cost American oil companies billions and billions and billions of dollars. They have every right to go back in there and claim what is theirs. It doesn't matter how. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter how much oil you have, Dynas. If you do not have the means to not only pump the oil, but then to refine the oil, then ship the oil, you won't make a penny off of that oil. And if someone comes in and builds your oil refining infrastructure because you agree to give them a share of the profits, and then you back out of the deal once you get what you want, you are a criminal. So don't say we have an oil colony in South America. No, the United States is taking what she is owed in that little dunghill country. So I don't have a problem with that. And then to the point with what my boy was just saying, Gaddafi was nothing but an Arab. People have all these issues about the United States. They're treasonous in their mindset, right? They will defend anybody as long as that person is going against the United States. But guess what? It doesn't matter, because not one person here would live under Nicolas Maduro. Not one person here would live under Ibrahim Traore. These people are corrupt. And if you have a problem with saying, it's no wonder the Black community looks the way it does, Dynas, because Black people worship and romanticize criminality. Maduro is a criminal. Maduro is a criminal. Period. He hurts women. He hurts children. Hey, can this lady just like shut up for a second?
Don't let Brandon go away with that.
V, I gotta meet you, V. So when Brandon was interrupting you, I told him to stop. I'm gonna need let.
No,
Brandon.
but what he's saying about Ibrahim is totally wrong.
Listen, man,
Absolutely.
listen. It doesn't matter what these women say. Black women love criminality. They love bad boys. That's what Black women love. The more bad and degenerate he is, the more the women are going to rally behind him. And then you know what they're going to say? They're going to say, he was a monster. Look at R. Kelly, Dynas. They loved R. Kelly. They knew what R. Kelly was doing. They loved them some cows. And the minute they saw opportunity to try to profit by throwing them under the bus, they did it. So excuse me.
Brandon, let me interject real quick. So Jason Black, years ago, did a whole series on a R. Kelly situation called R. Kelly Nation, and what he uncovered, which is all fact, was pretty disgusting. Brandon does have a point. The parents of the children are literally selling their kids to R. Kelly, which is it's just disgusting. Brandon, you got 30 seconds. I got to
Dynas. But what I'm telling you is these women knew what was going on. They knew what was going on. They didn't care.
Brandon, the parents knew what was going on.
Of course. But what I'm telling you is black people have a very funny relationship with criminality. It's rules for thee, but not for me. They're arbitrary. One person can get away with something, then they try to hold someone else accountable for that same thing that the other person got away with. So I don't take black people serious on situations like this because, Dynast, you have black folks defending a criminal dictator while they were just condemning Trump, saying he was a criminal dictator. So do y'all like criminal dictators or not? Please choose a struggle.
All right, let me pass the mic to Teddy. Then after Teddy's Elvis, then I'm gonna pass it to Jax. Go ahead, Teddy.
Yeah, I hope you can hear me. I'm on a different network. I'm not on my usual network.
We hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. So, yeah, the whole thing with the oil situation in Venezuela, that's not true. Venezuela nationalized their oil production resources. They nationalized it. They made a deal with, like you mentioned, back in the 70s, that they would take more of a
good. You said the right thing. They nationalized it.
I just got started. That they would nationalize their oil reserves, and they wanted to give American companies 50. They wanted a larger percentage of the oil revenues than the American companies were getting. American companies didn't like that, so they left. And as far as there's Chevron is there right now. Chevron is there right now sending oil tankers to the Gulf of Mexico, up in the southeast in Texas right now, doing that. And as far as them being at conflict with their neighbors, that's been a dispute for 200 years. That whole disputed area between one neighbor, not Brazil, not Colombia, not I think Bolivia is below them, but it's just Guyana. It's just Guyana. That area has been disputed forever. They're not in a conflict with them. The only people they're in a conflict now with, the only country they're in a conflict now with is America, because America committed an act of war. You don't have to declare war to commit an act of war. That's what they did. That's what America has just done.
And what they gonna do? Nothing.
What are they going to do? Defend what? What do
Nothing.
you mean? What are they going to do?
They're not going to do anything.
Yes, they did. They elected.
They celebrating in the street right now.
Who's celebrating in the street? The
Venezuelans. I got Venezuelan friends. They are so happy.
The people in Miami that you've been seeing on the videos out in front of the Chevron station, those Venezuelans who left.
The people who got chased out by Maduro.
They did not get chased out. They left.
Yes, they did. That's why they had to seek asylum.
Anyway, so
now we're gonna write revisionist history.
That's the situation. That's the situation. Trump and them committed an act of war. Because what's his name? Rubio went on the shows today talking about we're not at war with Venezuela. Yes, America is at war. You could admit an act of war. So another country could come into America and say, well, we're going to commit an act of war, but we're not at war with you. Now, would America accept that, or would they say we're at war with whoever?
So you said you're going to fight for Venezuela against America?
Hold on. I think it's my time to speak.
I don't support imperialism. I don't support that. I don't support colonization, because that's what it is. It's imperialism.
Yes, you do.
Imperialism, an act of colonization. That's all it is.
You pay taxes, don't you?
Dynast, I think you got to pass the mic to me, please.
You pay taxes, don't you?
What does that got to do with it?
That means you support colonization.
No.
You know those bullets that America shot at Maduro, you paid for them.
I support colonization. No, I don't.
We all support it.
No, I don't. What does me paying taxes have to do with
as American citizens, we support everything the government do with our pockets, with our money.
Really?
And we benefit from it.
And you support, and you benefit from it.
We about to get reduced gas prices for that oil we just took from Venezuela.
You stole.
Oh, that's okay. Sometimes you gotta steal shit. But we're all gonna profit.
Your
hands are just as dirty as Trump's.
Well, Brandon, I'm gonna steal this. I'm gonna take your car because I just need to steal it.
You can take it if you can't. You can try.
No, break into his house.
That's right. You can try. You probably gonna wake up dead.
Dynast, can I come in, man?
Listen, Dinus, we are all complicit. Whatever America does, we support it because we pay taxes to empower America to do it. So this hypocrisy is just, it's disturbing. You
All right, since
love the
since Dinus is
luxury
not
and
here,
comfort.
I'm gonna speak. It was my turn to
You
speak,
love the
Brandon.
luxury and comfort that America's colonialism and imperialism brings you.
And
Brandon,
Brandon,
let
and hold
somebody
on one
else
second.
speak.
And Brandon, that was my point to Elvis. You know what does
No,
it matter?
Elvis lives on a dunghill called Liberia.
No, but that's my point. Like, what does it matter? I mean, what you're complaining about? What America did to Maduro? America's been doing since its foundation. But you guys are still attracted to America as far as immigrating here. So what does it matter?
All right, I think you want to pass me the mic now, Brandon.
Hey, Dinus,
No,
Dinus,
hold
we
on,
go boycott Target again.
but Elvis, does that make sense? Like America's been what Trump did, America has been doing for centuries. But for some, I mean, but people still want to come. People still want to immigrate here. So what does it matter?
All right. There are ways and means, right, Dinus, to do things, right?
Oh Lord.
And hold on. Let me make my point. I've heard it on your platform many of times where all of you guys harp on Obama. Oh, Obama went into Libya. He took out Gaddafi. You guys use that as a talking point because it's a MAGA talking point. But the ways and means that Obama used to go into Libya was through a United Nations resolution, through the Security Council. He didn't go in there arbitrarily. He didn't go there on pretense and attack them. On the issue of Venezuela, like Brandon was alluding to, which is true, these companies or corporations went in there and tried to use, it was being very usurious in the royalties that they were going to get from the Venezuelans for their oil. And when Chavez came in, he nationalized the oil. He's a socialist. He nationalized the oil, and he pretty much revoked many of those deals because it was usurious against the people, and that pissed them off. They went to Washington and lobbied multiple governments to put sanction on Venezuela to kind of stifle their oil revenue so that they can force regime change through economic strangulation. That's what they was trying to do with Venezuela. But one thing with Venezuelan oil is that it's very thick. It's very hard to refine it. It requires specialized machines to go in there and really refine that oil. It's not like regular oil where you can just easily refine it. So that's why Chevron needed to go in there with their complicated and sophisticated machines to refine the oil. And that's why you see they're not really pumping a lot of oil. They're not getting a lot of oil revenue because it's hard to refine it. They don't have the equipment and the capacity to do so. So it's a complicated issue. But I want you to have the same energy, Brandon and Dinus, that you had with Libya. If you criticize Obama for going in there, even though he went in there with a resolution through international cooperation with other countries on the United Nations Security Council,
A resolution.
have that same energy with Venezuela.
Oh God, a resolution. Oh,
Yeah, have the same energy because you support Trump. You can't muster the courage to criticize him. You barely murmur that you disagree with what he did. And now you're trying to do what about ism?
Elvis, I don't agree with Trump did, but look at what Gaddafi did for his people versus what Maduro's doing for his.
They stifle Maduro. Maduro didn't commit any terroristic acts
Exactly.
against the United States.
Oh,
Gaddafi literally went into Dresden and bombed a club of United States servicemen and killed them. He bombed the plane over Lockerbie. He committed a terroristic act during the Olympics with Palestinians who killed Israelis, and he got them out of there and brought them to Libya and gave them safe harbor. He trained rebel soldiers like Charles Taylor, Forrest Sanko, Jonas Savimbi. He trained UNITA soldiers. All of those people that went into wars in the 90s, in the late 80s in Africa, they went to Tripoli in the Mataba base and they trained under Gaddafi, and they went into Africa and brought mayhem to the people in southern and western Africa. So he was no hero. So I don't get what African Americans or other people are praising Gaddafi as if he was some kind of hero to Africans. He wasn't. So stop it. I'll pass the mic.
all right, go ahead, V.
Okay, yes. I want to respond to a couple of things. Regarding Traore, that guy is still on his captain's salary. He hasn't increased his salary. he has reduced most of the ministers and top officials within their, they call it, what do they call it? They say, what they would, sorry, if the name come to me, I'll mention. Their governments that they form, they have a name for it. He has
The
reduced their
junta.
junta, they have a name for it. Junta is what other people call them, but they don't call themselves that, so I'm not going to use that word. But they have reduced their salary. Whatever Ibrahim had when he got into government, that's what he still has. He hasn't increased his wealth in any way. He still, I believe, had his one wife, and I think they have 2 or 3 children. I'm not sure. So all these allegations, Brendan is sort of leveling at that guy. I think you're just super emotional about him for some reason. And it's not just him. Even now in Niger, for instance, since they've taken over their country, they're doing very well with their uranium because they're selling it to whoever it wants to buy it at the going price. Instead of before, when France was taking it to a ton a penny, you guys call it cent, a ton a cent. That's how French was taking their uranium for. It was just daylight robbery that they were doing to those 3 countries. Now, if you look at the West African region, those countries in the Sahel, say Burkina, Niger, Mali, were considered as some of the most poorest. Every data, they were coming up as the most poorest. I mean, it was just unbearable, and people were literally living from hand to mouth. I know Africa isn't rich, but their situation was worse. Now, the people of the country within these 3 countries believe that something is happening, and they are really behind. You won't have them 100%. Nobody's going to, anybody that have an election, like recently, Guinea had an election and he had 80 something, but that's just a fraud. Nobody will have 100% support, but they have a huge number of the people within the country support them because they know what they're doing. It is not perfect. Africa as a whole is not perfect. I can point you out to some of the most corrupt, fantastically corrupt. With Ghana, we have a new government and the corrupting cases have started rearing their head again. I mean, what is wrong with these people? So for me, and now you have a situation that a vast majority of the youth in Ghana prefer somebody like Tuareg than the president that we just got in. Isn't that sad? So this is what Africans are facing, corrupt government. And because they are so corrupt, they are afraid of their military, so they do not resource their military properly in order to give them some chance if it comes to defending the country. Those 3 Sahelians, they are now resourcing their military well. So that is why the military are getting successes on the ground. And nobody would tell me that the black man is not brave if given the right ammunition and the right direction and the right training to fight. And they are literally fighting for their country day and now, and I commend them highly. Instead of you sitting in the comfort in your United States bashing them, they are not perfect, but they're doing very well. And all these insurgents that they are there, I mean, regarding Libya and Gaddafi is a complicated man. Nobody, will say he wasn't. And the people out up in the north and the Maghreb, they have a very, very complicated relationship with the people like us down south. They got their head all twisted. There's the mix of Arabs and Persians and whoever it is that came onto the continent during the numerous invasion that happened up in the north. They're mixed. They're there. And then you have the Africans, like the Tuaregs, some of the Fulanis, and then I think there's another group, Amaziks, and the Berbers. I think the Berbers and Amazik, there's a confusion going there. Sometimes they say they're Amazik, sometimes they say they're Berbers. And they are a mix of all the people that came onto the continent. So they do not see themselves as Africans, primarily, majority. It's true. But there's also Africans that are still there, like the people in the Sudan, they've been attacked. They are pure black Africans, and they see themselves as Africans. There's a huge complication up there. But that doesn't mean we should just throw them all out. Gaddafi, at the beginning, he was a pan-Arab Arab resource, whatever he called himself. He was tilting to the Arabs. But I think I don't know whether it's his mother. They say it's his mother's side. It's a Berber. And those Arabs do not see the Berbers as Arabs. Even though as much as the Berbers are forcing themselves into the Arabs do not see them as Arabs. So for that reason, he was rejected many times. And when he was rejected, he turned himself back onto Africa. That's when he started speaking to the African president. But a lot of the African presidents at the time did not trust him. So, I mean, I heard stories about some of them even gave him up. And that's why they got a chance to destroy him. But when they did go in, NATO went in. What they did eventually destabilized the whole of the Maghreb coming down to the Sahel. You see, countries like Algeria, they are two-faced. 1 minute they're talking that they're African brothers, and next minute they're going elsewhere. And you know why? They accommodated the Tuaregs that were giving Mali hell. Well, they did, but now the Malis are also pushing back very hard, and they're getting successes again over there. Algeria was stealing gas and oil from Mali's land. Apparently they have pipelines that onto Mali's land, stealing gas onto Algeria. And Mali found that, and Mali dealt with it. That's why they're showing so much hostility to Mali, and those Tuaregs that they're even on Mali soil, they're actually from Algeria. Their land, their homeland is in Algeria, but the Algerians are so racist towards them because those people, they are a mix of Arabs and Africans, and they don't know where they belong. They believe they're Arabs, and the Arabs don't want them. And they come down south, and they are trying to attack their fellow Africans because they're a different shade of color. It's very, very complicated, But I support the Sahelians because it's the Sahelians that's pushing those people back. It's the Sahelians that's teaching them a good lesson now. And because of that, we in the south of West Africa having a bit of a relief. I wouldn't say it's 100%, but even regarding the Sahelians, there are still forces that really don't like what is happening there. I believe the United States is making some overtures over there, sent about 3 delegations to go and meet the Burkina guy. I think the European Union is also trying to speak to the Malian, trying to get some relationship going. They're very cautious. They don't want to deal with them as freely as they've done in the past because they don't trust them. Because when they were having difficulties and they needed the arms support, they needed to get arms. It's a long, complicated. But France had this agreement with these countries that even to buy arms, they have to go through France. And France was part of NATO. So to go to France and ask them, we need this ammunition.
Respectfully, says, can we get somebody else to speak?
Yeah,
no, can I just finish? I'm concluding. Let me just conclude.
You got 30 seconds.
Yeah, let me just conclude. Because sometimes it may sound long, but you have to understand what is going on in the ground. And when they go to France to ask for this ammunition, France will tell them, oh, no, we don't think you can deal with that. Oh, you don't need this, you don't need that. And they go to another country, say maybe the Germans, because they're all part of NATO, they say to them, no. That is why they're broken off relationship with these countries, and they go elsewhere and they get the ammunition they need, and now they're using it to defend their country. I'm done.
Okay, let me pass the mic to Prince Steve. Go ahead, Prince Steve. Oh, let me read these super chats first. Rules, VAC 1999. Thank you for the 1999 holla. Glad we are covering this. Wally, thank you for the $5 holla. Now, any American step foot in South America is in jeopardy. That's the trade-off for low gas prices. All right, go ahead, Steve. Go ahead, Prince Steve.
What's up, everybody? I just want to go ahead and say, right now, what's going on in the Sahel region. I like what President Traore said in his speech when he was elected as leader of AES. When he said that Black winter is coming, I think that all the West African countries need to really pay attention to what's going on. And after what happened on Friday night, I think that everybody needs to gear up. Like whatever weapons that West African countries are importing from foreign countries, if they're buying it, they need to be reverse engineering those weapons. I think engineers need to get to work because West African countries need to mass produce these weapons because war might touch West African soil, and there's going to be no respect of nations or sovereignty. I was listening to what Mr. Netanyahu said when he was at Mar-a-Lago, I believe. He was talking about Nigeria. He mentioned Nigeria quite a few times. He mentioned Nigerian Christians. Um, just from history and past events, we know that some of these countries that act like they care so much about African people, black Christians, they'll use that as a excuse to go in the country, loot the place of resources. And the thing that I noticed was the area of northwestern Nigeria that was bombed is near where the uranium deposits are in Niger, and Burkina Faso. So it's not. I won't say it's not an extreme thought to think that they're in there for the resources, that the resources interest them. The problem is if you do have a Nigerian president or you have Nigerian puppets that would allow U.S. forces to take action in Nigeria, how do you get U.S. forces out? And I just think that we gotta be more on the defensive side and take a posture and say, hey, we do need to gear up for war. We do need to mobilize for war. West African countries need to unite. They need to recruit more than they've ever recruited before. They need a 3 million man army. They need half of those guys to be active and the other half to be in reserves, just in case they have to do a mass mobilization. Um, if they were to buy drones, well, Nigeria has its own Demiso drone, but if they were to buy attack drones from a foreign country, they need to learn how to reverse engineer those attack drones so that they can be able to do air assaults and things like that. And I know I'm talking more of a military terminology, but we got to get ready. I mean, what Troy Ray was saying, African countries they have to gear up. It's no longer you can be a bystander. After what you saw in Venezuela, that should be kind of like a wake up call. That's all I'm saying.
All
But
right,
the question to your brother, like Dinus was saying, who's gonna stop them if they want to come into Africa without the weaponry that we don't have and the standing armies that can't defend us, our people? Who's gonna stop the United States to come in there and kick our ass? You know what's supposed to stop them? International laws,
Nobody
international
can stop them.
treaties. That's what's supposed to
No,
stop them. But these guys are
nobody
saying, who
can
gives a
stop them.
damn?
Nobody can stop them, though. And currently, nobody can stop them. If the United States wants to come into Africa or NATO, they can come in. Yeah, that is true. But they will face resistance from the people. But I mean, what is people resisting in comparison to the mighty force of the United States and NATO? So I
That's
mean, it's
what
true.
that's what barbarians do, right? And that's the difference between a civilized country
but Elvis,
who respect rule of
but Elvis,
law rather than a country who's going to go in there and
The
conquer.
people, the countries that formed the base of the UN are barbarians. They colonized the whole planet. So I don't. What's your point?
There are certain laws that was put in place doing like,
Oh Lord, let me
I
come
mean,
on.
Dinus,
I mean, come
whether
on.
or not you believe it, that's fine. In certain countries, unlike the president that we have now, right? Like I said, not that the United States hasn't gone into wars that may have not been so justified, but they didn't do it the way Trump is doing it. That's what I'm trying to tell you. They sought resolution, they sought approval from Congress, which is
But
in the
that's the problem.
Constitution.
But that's the problem. You're making the UN credible.
Dennis, unless you've
The
been in a
UN is
war
a joke.
zone, I remember in 2003, UNMIL, the United Nations mission in Liberia, came in there in August 13, 2003, and stopped the war in Liberia, brought relief to our country.
A war that should have never happened.
Fine, that's fine. But
You
when
know,
you don't know what the United Nations does around the world,
let's get to the root of why that happened in the first place with Liberia is because see, and this is the issue I have. Dang, I don't want to be tribal, but the indigenous population like yourself supported the coup in 1980, and now you want to throw a rock and hide your hand and come to
oh
America.
man.
That's what happened.
Your thinking is so myopic.
That's what happened.
I'm
That's what
talking one thing,
that's
you're
what
going to
happened.
something else.
But I'm saying that's the root of it.
No, just listen.
That's the
You,
none of this would have happened in Liberia if the indigenous population did not um,
whatever you say, Dennis. But
combine with
I'll go somewhere else,
collaborate
right?
with the West and start that coup.
Fine. I'll go different. Go to the DRC Congo, where the United Nations mission there saved a lot of lives. Go down to Sierra Leone. So there are many African countries who are killing themselves, and the United
DR
Nations
Congo
came in and
wasn't
brought relief.
no DR Congo
UNICEF.
wasn't that straightforward. They were protecting the
Hey,
areas where they
guy,
have
let me pass the
airstrips
mic.
and
Let me pass the
taking
mic.
the
Let me
minerals
pass.
out.
Oh no, let me pass the mic to say James. Go ahead, say James.
Hi, Dinus. Thanks for having me, and I'm glad to be here. Interesting topic. Before I begin, I'm going to shout out my sister from Ghana. She's our neighbor, and she's able to, to check into the situation and understand exactly the complexity of what we are going through. She's spot on, spot on. And I commend you for that. I wish you come more often on these kind of panels because we have a lot of people in the Western Hemisphere that don't seem to understand exactly what Africans are going through. And I have done my part, and this is 2026, and I'm getting tired, and I deserve to take some rest, right? And no matter what you say to certain people, they're not going to get it. So Burkina Faso, I'm from Burkina Faso, I'm telling you the people of Burkina Faso, if Traore wasn't doing what he was supposed to do, it wasn't.
Are
It's
you
not going to be there. I'm sorry.
Are you Mosi? Are you
Yeah, I'm
Mosi?
Morsi. Yeah, I'm Morsi.
Oh, Mosi,
Right.
good.
Thank you.
One of my
And
best friends is Mosi, so
oh,
Bacana. So let's leave it there.
uh, I got you. I'm from a people. Talk is cheap. What Traore is doing, in order for him to even get that far, is because he has the backing of the people. If he doesn't have the backing of the people, he wouldn't even remain there for one more day. You understand? So we know he's doing a good job. So we're not going to sell it to anybody who doesn't want to listen. We're done doing that. I'm happy that a lot of American Caribbeans went to Africa. They speak English, right? You can see videos after videos they posted about Burkina Faso. They went to places in the Sahel. They have seen the reality of it. They have seen the change this guy has been able to do, and they have seen his honesty and everything. We are an open book. We don't hide anything. If you look at it, Dennis, a month ago, Mali was surrounded by terrorists, right? Every news media said Mali was going to collapse because of that situation. Everybody was communicating. Everybody that sided with the terrorists communicated that Mali was going to collapse. Guess what happened? Mali is still standing. You know who congratulated Mali government? Your own government, the United States, did that. Why? Why they did that? Because they know we're on the right side. When Trump came to power, he sent people to Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, trying to get back to business. We told them we don't have a problem with the United States, but a new era has come. We don't want no boots on the ground. We don't want to be told what to do. We got this, right? You can stay, you can remain in the Sahel, but we got this. So he didn't like it. For me, 3 months ago or 6 months ago, he told the Burkinabe government that they don't trust our vetting process. Therefore, we have to go to Togo and get our visa. Our government told them, no problem. You want to send our people to Togo to get a visa to come to the state? That's fine. We get that. Within 2 months, I don't know what happened. He's like, nah, we're going to put you on a full travel ban. So we say, that's fine. No problem. That's still your country. You don't want us here. That's fine. You do whatever. So based on how this place is governed, the Sahel, we're not taking no BS for nobody. You don't want America. You don't want us to come to America. You're not coming to the Sahel. It's easy as that. We're not against American. We're not against their businesses if they want to come to the Sahel. We welcome their business. We welcome anybody that want to come build in the Sahel. But guess what's not going to happen? We're not going to be bullied because we believe these three leaders are on the right path. We're not trying to sell anything to you. The opinion of the people that live in the Sahel just matters. That's it. If they say that's the right thing to do, we will do just that. Anybody that lives in the Western Hemisphere that don't believe in it, that's your choice. You don't have to agree. You don't have to come to the Sahel. We don't need you. If you are not built like that, it's not for you. Simple as that. And the idea that the United Nations does not acknowledge Ibrahim Traore, I heard that from one panelist. Brandon, you're gonna do some more research about geopolitics. I feel like you just eat and just come on panel and talk rubbish. The United Nations ambassador, when they go to the Sahel, you know who they meet first to present the credential? Do you have an idea? They meet the president of that country. How come can you sit here and tell us that the United Nations does not acknowledge Traore? And you have a channel talking about geopolitics, man. I'm sorry for you, sir. You got to learn a lot to be able to speak on these issues. You understand? It's not a joke. These people are in the Sahel looking for resources. They're not looking for our betterment. Niger, just if you're talking about doing the right thing, Niger they just took the uranium, right? They said, you know what, we're gonna put it on the open market for the higher bidder. Can you be against that if you're a black man or whatever? Come on, man. We want the higher bidder. We are here this is capitalism. We want more money for our people. That's it. We're not against any country. If you have more money, you can pull up so we can do business. That's what America does. Why should you be against that? These people have signed the uranium for over 60 years to the French. 60 years. What nation does that? And they don't even have the right to negotiate anything. Every time a president in that country wants to negotiate, there is a coup on him or he gets killed. You can go back and read. There is a president that still live, and he live from Niger. He said the same thing. The minute I wanted to negotiate higher price for my uranium, problems start coming. Come on now. Don't sit in America think these people don't want to build their nations. We just need the right leader in place. That's it. Once we put the right leader in place, things are moving now in the Sahel. Why? Because we got the right leader in place, and we're going to protect them. You don't have to, because you don't believe that we should do for ourselves. We're doing for ourselves. Danis, you have a channel. You can look what China is doing in Burkina Faso. They just opened one of the most equipped hospital in Burkina Faso. You know what Traore just told them? I need you guys to build 9 of them. 9 of them.
That's true.
You still hear bullshitting people like these guys are not doing anything?
Yeah, he's
Look at
building
the gold reform. Look at the gold reform he was able to implement. Look at the amount of money this guy took back from these companies. Are you kidding me? You still here talking about these people are doing nothing?
You know, my brother, sorry to interrupt you, but
I gotta read these super chats. I gotta pass the mic. Defiant Brand, thank you for $5 holla. Hey, Dinah's mods are blocking Trump supporters. Only mods are you and Wally. I don't think Wally's blocking anybody. Brandon, go back to No Jumper. Thank you for $49 holla. Izzy J. Brandon, go back to No Jumper where they punked you out. Stop speaking on African politics. You spoke about LA game politics for the past year. Alfred Diamonds, go ahead, Alfred Diamonds. I'm gonna pass it to Akon, then it's CJ. Go ahead, Alfred Diamonds.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Dinah, wasn't it just less than a few weeks ago I said Nigeria would be lit up like Christmas tree?
You did.
What happened on Christmas Day?
They got lit up.
Okay, that's just the beginning. You know, here's what's happening.
But
no, I'm not gonna talk on Nigeria. I'm just gonna.
I'm just saying that's. I mean, it's Nigeria, but it's really the Northern Islamic. Republic of
it's just a test run. It's a test run. I'm just telling you right now. It's a test run.
Go ahead.
It's already written. The map of Africa is about to change. You know, Nigeria will be balkanized into 3 different countries.
Hold on, let me interject real quick. I read somewhere else. I didn't finish reading the article where they said they're gonna partition Nigeria.
Yes, it's going to happen. Nobody can stop it. You look at it, the AES right now, they are the only independent one. ECOWAS today, they put out a stupid statement talking about the Venezuela thing, right? They're talking about Bolivarian movement. They didn't even mention Trump. That shows you the fear that is there. ECOWAS sat by and allowed a fake coup to take place in Guinea-Bissau, right? They allow Guinea-Conakry, a French puppet, to take over. But these three in the Sahel are the real deal. They are actually going against something. So if you look at it, it's a power struggle happening right now. The Europeans, they were the ones that drew the maps in 1884 in Africa, in these territories. The United States was invited to the table, but they were not interested in actually having a colony. Because they already established a territory there called Liberia. They put their Negroes over there to watch over it for them, right? So all they ask at the table, the United States, because people think these Europeans or white people like each other. It's all business. It's not about loving one another. What they agreed on was to allow the waterways to be free so that trade can happen, ships moving around. If you look at it, now the power dynamic have shifted. The Europeans, they've lost power. France had the most territory and they lost it. Now there's new player in the game, Israel. Israel just acknowledged Somaliland, their independence. In Somaliland, they're going to carve it, they're going to build it, but it's not going to be occupied by Somalis. They're going to bring Kenyans over there to occupy it. Israel needs another territory in West Africa. So they are going to divide Nigeria into three. They're going to have, a Christian country within what they call Nigeria. They're going to divide it. And what Traore and the others are doing, banning America from coming, that's good, reciprocity. But it's war happening as we speak. People, people don't get it. So they are smart to ban Americans from coming. And they didn't even go further. They need to ban Ghanaians and Nigerians. Ghanaians right now, do you know that American base is in Ghana as we speak? AFRICOM. Nigeria, was hit from Ghana. Last year, I did a show on it. I talked about it. I said American military, it's in Ghana. People thought, oh, you're just talking conspiracy, but the proof is there right now. Okay, so that's what's happening. ECOWAS is going to be dismantled. You guys see what happened to Maduro, right? Maduro is a narco terrorist. Next is going to be Colombia. Guess who they have connection to in West Africa? Guinea-Bissau. Guinea-Bissau is a narco state. They forged a fake coup. So this unity thing people are saying is not going to happen in Africa. And in a way, I love it, because the fake black unity one thing is not gonna happen. So they're gonna knock these people out one by one. You guys will be shocked in the next few months that is coming. The people that you would see that are going to be picked up, like Maduro. Maduro is just the beginning. They are about to pick up several of them. So people that are sitting here talking about Maduro is not a criminal. He is a criminal. You probably don't know anything about him. You're just beginning to learn about him. The oil there, that's an American oil. You cannot invite people in, and have them build infrastructure, and then you try to pull the plug like that. That's criminality. So therefore, when you pull that on somebody who can do something about it, they are going to come for you. And I heard somebody said, oh, Obama went to the UN. Who cares about where Obama went? Obama wants to promote international socialism to destroy America. He was a plant to destroy America. Look at, since he came, he passed LGBTQ marriage. He's one, this third time, that was him. He opened the border to destroy America. That was his job. So you're going to also see the UN is about to get dismantled. You see what I'm saying? This is what is on the table right now. So all these Africans that are crying, they can't do anything. They cannot stop what is coming. So the AES are the only country that are prepared. Did you see South Africa? Their president is also crying. He is part of the criminal syndicate. Don't be surprised when you see him also get picked up. Okay? I said it here last time. I said Nigeria will get lit up like Christmas tree. This is just the beginning. And what's about to come we would come back here and discuss it again. You will see all of this happen.
Yeah, okay.
All right, let me
Preach,
pass.
brother. Preach.
Hold on. Let me pass the mic to Econ Fire, then to CJ. Go ahead, Econ.
Yeah, thank you, man. Respect Diners. Good riddance to some of the other speakers. I think that Maduro is a good guy and he is a legal person. You feel me? He gives respect to black people in his country more than most of the other Latino countries. You feel me? So therefore, I respect him totally. Also, we the Africans in Africa, people like the Christian Liberia guy and the backslider Muslim Gambia guy is taking away the balls of African men. You see me? Yeah, they have no concept. They choose not to hold on to the Pan-African solution of our elders. They choose to try to philosophize their own concept as if they are some type of gift to the goddamn earth. You feel me? So they don't have a concept, and they go around what you'd call legitimizing the colonizer, legitimizing the colonizer's rules, legitimize the colonizer's practice, as if they have lost their own balls, because it's as if, oh, because someone can come into your house and bully you, you think that you should give them legitimacy now and respect. And I'm totally against that. You feel me? I think we should grow some balls and go against the colonizer in any way, whether we even telling lies on the goddamn colonizer.
Man,
We need to
you won't do anything. Be quiet. Be quiet. You won't do anything.
Who's it?
Go
Dinus,
eat
I
some
didn't
oxtail. You won't even do anything. Be quiet.
Dinus, I didn't interrupt nobody.
Let's have some decorum. Don't interrupt him. Go ahead, Econ.
Yeah, thanks, man. Anyway, I know it hurts because your secret is out that your balls is gone. I know that hurts. You didn't want nobody to know. But in your speech, we can know these things. You feel me? Because you don't have no backbone. You feel me? You think that we should give up our masculinity to the white man, as if the black man is not a man. You feel me? As if we're not supposed to. And then you talk about, oh, the other person's oil in Venezuela is their oil. Then that means the uranium in Niger belongs to France. In your theory, in your little stupid ass little peanut brain theory, that's what it means. You feel me? If they were playing fair, where there is equal development, then I don't think there would be an issue. But because somebody is getting rich and somebody is staying poor, that's why the people take their stuff. You feel me? And same with Niger. The reason why Niger is taking their goddamn stuff is because the electricity is electrifying goddamn France, and Niger has to be borrowing electricity from Nigeria. You feel me? And that is an abomination. You feel me? My problem is we need to grow Pan-Africanism grow Pan-Africanism, grow Black consciousness. We need to find a way to install it in schools so it can be mandatory and intensified. You feel me? We need to find a way to reduce Islam and Christianity in the Black people of Africa so we can stop being idiots and we can grow some balls. You feel me? Because the Muslim praise the Arab, the Muslim praise the Arab and the white man, and the Christian praise the white man. So we need to find a way to praise the Black man and worship Black so we can find a way to get some self-esteem. You feel me? All right, that's it.
All right, let me pass it. Go ahead, CJ. Unmute yourself, CJ.
All right. Hey, good evening, Dinus. Thanks for having me on again.
Good evening.
What's up, Aphrodamus? Been on this panel a couple of times.
How you doing?
Good. How you doing? Yeah. You know, I think what's happening is that this is, you know, open neo-colonialism. So, you know, it's backed over. It's basically scrambled for Africa. You know, conquest of the Americas all over again. What's happening is that there's a global factions, the BRICS nations versus the West, and there's somewhat of an arms race. What the United States is doing is trying to basically ensure that they have access to energy resources in the event that there's an attack in the Strait of Hormuz, because they're planning on doing another attack upon Iran and possibly even an invasion, which would be very difficult. And one of the
sorry to cut you off. The protests and uprising that's taking place in Iran. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, my thoughts on that is that that's basically comes from the sanctions. The economic sanctions that have been going on by the West is designed to create social and economic instability in Iran. So that is the long play that they've been making. Of course, they've done assassination attempts, they've done missile attacks on Iran, right? Not in assassinations, actually successful assassinations of multiple people that are, you know, the heads of various parts of the government of Iran. But the long play that the West has been doing has been the sanctions, because the sanctions is done to make the people frustrated about their lives, and then they would basically desire an overthrow of the government or a change. Okay, so that is not because the Iranian leadership does not care about their people. The reason why they're repressing and coming at those that are rebelling against the government is because at the end, one, the leaders, of course, they want to save their lives, but two, the leaders themselves believe that they are doing what's in the best interest of the sovereignty of Iran. And if the people act as sheep of the West to topple the regime, they don't even understand that they are going to be like Libya. At best, Iran would be like Libya. So if those that are in the leadership structure of Iran, they're nationalists. They have pride in being Persians, or what people call Iranians. So, and we have to understand, a lot of our people are not students of history. The Persians have had major beef with Europeans for thousands of years, going back to the Greek Empire. Even during the time of the Romans, you had the Parthian Empire. The Parthian Empire was the number one rival of the Roman Empire. Unfortunately, in school, they never teach you that. And the Parthian Empire was in modern day Iran. And they had multiple battles where the Romans tried to invade, and they lost multiple times in their attempt to reconquer that land. So
what was the Sparta War against? Who was the Sparta War against? The Persians.
Yeah, the Sparta War was against the Persians, correct. So, and we're talking about a very long time. So we're talking about real historical ancient beefs. So the people in Iran, or the leadership, they know this stuff. When you start talking about countries in Africa that were created out of colonial structures, what is your real history other than modern concept of history that deals really with the timeline of colonialism? Yeah, to a certain degree, you have some people that talk about past stuff, but Nobody in West Africa talks about the Songhai Empire or the Mali Empire anymore. They only talk about West Africa in the context of colonialism, scramble for Africa and independence, and then post-independence. So the mentality or the reason why certain countries will stand up for themselves varies, when it comes to that. But I believe that, the Iranian government is just going to heavily repress the revolt that's happening. They're already killing some of their protesters. So, I mean, and at the end of the day, the monopoly of violence is on the side of the government over there. So the Iranian Revolutionary Guard is loyal to the Ayatollah. Is loyal to the thinking of basically being the vanguards against Western hegemony. So it's basically what it is. I mean, Iran is not going to allow their citizens to turn that country. The leadership is not going to allow the Iranian citizens to turn their country into Libya. It's not going to happen. You can take that to the bank, because I can guarantee you this: if it gets so bad, you can bet your bottom dollar that the Strait of Hormuz would be attacked, and it will lead to a great escalation. Really, we're really in World War III. We're really in World War III. It's just that it hasn't been spoken in the media. So right now, what the West is doing is that they're getting the resources. America's the biggest bully with the biggest guns, and they're the ones that can go into countries and take resources. Unfortunately, Nigeria is in a position of weakness compared to the AES. AES has way less people. They don't have as the infrastructure or even the economic resources of Nigeria, but because they're on code and they act as one, and they've been willing to put aside whatever differences that they may have among their people for the greater good of their survival, they're in a better position to be a partner of the likes of a Russia or a China in the event that a war kicks off. And one of the big things with Africa does not have a nuclear power. You don't have a nuclear missile capability. The fact is that you're dealing with the European man is the most violent man that's ever walked the earth. And the only language that he understands is violence. And if you don't have a nuclear deterrence and he wants something, he's going to go and get it. And even when it comes to Burkina Faso, if they really wanted that so bad, see, the thing about it is, the thing with Burkina Faso and the AES, that's really a French issue. And the United States is not really willing right now to commit resources militarily for that issue. They would rather France go out of their way, and France really doesn't probably either have the willingness right now to go and do a military action within that region of the AES. I don't think the United States wants to be doing everybody's business, especially if at the end of the day, they don't feel like it's beneficial in the long run to them. But they would definitely, support from a public standpoint, France's aggression against the AES. But Nigeria, I mean, in and of itself is pretty much screwed, because, I mean, this divided country, disunified, very weak nationalistic pride amongst Nigerians, which makes it very easy to topple because of just the amount of division. And all it takes is just a superpower supporting a faction within Nigeria against another faction, and it's over. I mean, that's pretty much what happened in the Biafra War. The Biafra War ended because the world power supported Nigeria, even the Arab League. People talking about the sovereignty of Nigeria. This is not the first time that Nigeria allowed.
Didn't like Germany or some countries support Biafra?
No, those if you look up what was actually given, those were not supported. Just like when they say Israel, like some people on the Biafran separatist side, they'll be like, Israel supported Biafra. No, they didn't. They didn't support Biafra because so you got people that are even on the Biafra side that are ignorant about who supported who.
But let me interject real quick. The Biafra War was not a Nigerian war. It was a war to split Nigeria so that Nigeria, especially coming from France, because France had most of West Africa, and it felt like Nigeria was a threat to that. So because Nigeria's population encompassed all of West Africa at that time. So in order so that Nigeria was not going to control, because they had the economical power and everything, right? They were trying to divide Nigeria, so Nigeria will not have that population. So that war was not a Nigerian war; it was a war of
No,
the faction.
it was a Nigerian war,
It was not a Nigerian war.
No,
Because if you
this
look at
wasn't
people who were
Nigerian war.
involved,
Well, I honestly think the war could have been avoided altogether, but
the war could have been
Exactly.
avoided. The war could have been avoided, but it was not a. It was not. It was a Nigerian war, and here's why. Because the thing about it is, the United States allowed Britain to support the Nigerian side. In addition to that, the Soviet Union supported the Nigerian side. So the only conflict during the Cold War in which the West and the Soviet Union was on the same side was in the Nigerian Civil War. And on top of that, Nigeria had support from the Arab League. The Arab League joined in the conflict and sent Egyptian fighter pilots. Mind you, this is after the Yom Kippur and the Arab-Israeli War in 1967. They came with Egyptian fighter pilots that were taking Soviet MiG fighter jets to bomb Biafra. And if Israel was really in support of Biafra, they could have done the same thing and bombed Nigeria. But why didn't they do that? Because one, they weren't willing to support Biafra. And two, because the point of the war at the end, ultimately, was when they saw that, hey, we can get oil resources from Nigeria. Let's basically stop Biafra from being actualized. And then we can send in our multinational companies back again. Because Shell was already there in the 1950s prior to independence. And if you even look up Roger Goodell, the current commissioner of the NFL, his father was a senator at the time. And he was the main representative sent from the US after the war ended to in 1970 to Nigeria. So the difference with the war back then and what it was about, it would be different now if they did do a split. If they did a split now, it would not be for the same reasons as to why the war kicked off in 1967.
Can I read you something from UNESCO History of Africa, Volume 8?
Yeah, go ahead.
Right? It goes this way, right? Hold on, just a minute. Oh, damn. Damn, I lost it already. Just a minute. Okay, keep talking. I'm going to let you know once I find it again.
The truth is, the guy that was talking, he told the truth. That wasn't a Nigerian war, because if you look at in Biafra, the British, the French supported, Ojukwu. Even the British, they gave him, they supported him initially.
Africa, that's what I'm saying. Like, there were some world supported by Biafra.
They supported them initially, but then they pulled the plug. They pulled the plug on Ojukwu, because like Biafra, was able to hold their own in the beginning. The British, it was a French interest to balkanize Nigeria. You see what I'm saying? So it wasn't a Nigerian war. So it was a war fought on the soil, but it wasn't a Nigerian war.
So let me read this excerpt from UNESCO History of Africa, Volume 8. It goes this way. The Biafra War was indeed a world war in microcosm without the nuclear factor. French support for Biafra counterbalanced British support for federal Nigeria. Israel's material support for Biafra counterbalanced Egyptian pilots for the Federal Air Force. South African and white Rhodesian support for Biafra counterbalanced the Organization of African Unity's concern for the territorial integrity of Nigeria. The Chinese also intervened for Biafra to counterbalance Soviet support for federal Nigeria. Indeed, the Soviet Union's threatened intervention on the side of federal Nigeria coincided with the Soviet intervention in Czechoslovakia on the side of an unfragmented socialist world.
No, I think you're misinterpreting what I'm saying. The war did not kick off because of the war did not kick off, or this conflict did not kick off because of stuff that had to do with those people prior to the conflict.
But hold on,
listen, France was not involved in they had the Buria Accord in the early part of 1967.
No, but they were the ones. They were the ones.
World War II. You're not putting the World War II into context here.
Yeah, and also, for example, right? Hold on. For example, in Ghana, right? When they removed they killed Kwame Nkrumah. Yes, to the naked eye, it looks like Kotoka was the one that removed Kwame Nkrumah. Yes, there was already animosity, but the call to remove Kwame Nkrumah came
United States.
from the United States, from Washington. When he went to go to a meeting, I believe in China. So the call came from Washington.
Vietnam.
So it might look to the people that, okay, these Africans on the ground were the ones that removed him, but it's not really them. There was some animosity already, but it was in their own doing. The command did not come directly from
Yes,
them.
because in Nigeria, as a Nigerian, right, our inter-tribal relationship, right, as a Yoruba person, right. For example, the Nupe people, we've always fought wars with the Nupe people, but it's never been a war whereby, you know what I'm saying, you destroy everything. It's like frenemies kind of war. But you see, once the Europeans and the imperialists started coming and start putting their minds and their whatnot into our what is going on, that's when you start seeing all this kind of war going on. Because, and what I'm not hearing anybody say, and to put it in proper context, is nobody's mentioning World War II. This is the continuation. What we're saying right now is the continuation of World War II. Because now what just happened right now, what US just did to Maduro right now Russia has a right to go take over Ukraine now. China now has a right to go over Taiwan and take over Taiwan.
Yeah, but both these powers cannot do that. That's the thing. Russia have fought the war for 4 years. Here's the thing. Let's be real. Russia have gone. They are embarrassed at the moment, right? China. Who have China fought and won against? China. I'm telling you, they are paper tiger. They have not proven themselves. They are not. China is not
But
as
hold on. But
strong.
America,
It's
the
all
reason why, hold on,
surface.
let me say something real quick.
It's all surface.
Hold on, but the reason why America,
Why does America fear
let me
them?
say something real quick. The reason why
America
America has
does
always
not
won in
fear
the war,
China.
hold on.
Who
The
told
reason
Why
you?
why America has
why
always
you
won in
say
the war
that?
is because of Black
They
America.
do not.
The reason why
America
America has
does
always won
not
in the war
fear
is because of
China.
Black America.
I'm
China
telling you.
can cripple America if they wanna,
Uh,
economically.
But
sir,
hold on though. Let me
that's
say
not true.
something.
China is going broke. You
Hold on.
better check what's happening in the world.
You better check.
Check what is happening. I'm just telling you right now.
You're
Things are
you're very
shifting.
you're
Okay.
you're
But
very silly.
but
You're
can I
very
say
silly,
something?
bro.
The
Where is
actions of
America's
America
might without
proves
Black
that they're in a
America?
place of weakness. America, the United States government and the elites of America are clearly in a place of weakness because of the way that they're approaching things.
I'm
Exactly.
not gonna lie.
Like it's
Sir,
very
If China,
clear.
if China
sir,
were to make a call,
they are showing that they have the military might. What are you talking
The
about?
world
You mean
They
like
believes
you mean
America
literally
like
has
But hold
military
on, but
might.
the military might
America's not
America
scared of
has is
China.
because of Black America.
No. What?
you mean like a
Hold on.
wounded deer?
Look,
Like a
look, look,
wounded deer?
look.
You
Here's the
remember that
thing.
America was losing in Vietnam until Black Americans
Look.
went in there.
What Black American?
When's the
I'm
last time
telling you
China
that
fought in a
Look,
war?
the reason why America has won there is
look.
because of
Let's
Black
get back to
America.
reality, okay? Stop this
China
stuff.
hasn't fought a war
Um,
since
You,
look,
you,
1869.
look,
you heard
look,
about you heard
look,
about the value of the dollar dropping? You heard
look,
about that?
look. This is not the first time the United States of America have gone and picked up, other leaders. They've done it in Panama, Grenada, and several
But they
other
do that
places.
against small countries. They
So,
only do that
so,
against
so,
small. Let them
hold
go do
on,
that to Russia.
hold on. They don't need to do it to Russia. And
Exactly,
if
because
in case,
Russia is as mighty as they
hold
are.
on, no. Here's the thing. What you don't understand, anyone, in case you haven't learned what is happening, Russia is extended right now. Russia, look at it. They cannot fight any war with the United States. They backed Assad. The United States, when they were ready, they went and took out Assad. You have to remember, Russia have been tricked into this war.
Just say,
NATO is supporting Ukraine. Ukraine is not fighting by itself. And Russian weapons, they are testing their weapons, the United States, for them to see what Russia is capable of. Their tanks are failing, their weapons are failing. Russia, anyone that
can I
rely on
just say,
Russia, you would be, like they can't even help.
Can I just
Okay,
say
China.
something?
Who did China ever back militarily?
Okay,
So this
because
is
China is
all
not
empty
interested
talk.
in war like the
No, 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 no,
Anglo-Saxons and
no,
the Jews
sir,
does not
sir,
mean that they can
sir,
fight.
sir. China, there's no proof. There's no track record. They have not proven themselves.
Okay, Afrodamus,
The
okay.
United States is the big dog.
Can I
Is
just
the
say
big dog.
something?
Okay,
No, the
China
United
had
okay.
that
States is the
bomb
most
war
Big
in
dog.
powerful.
I
I
want to
can
'79.
hear
agree
what the
with that.
sister has to say. I don't usually I'm not
Look,
usually too
look. The
fond of
No, let me
United
interjecting,
say,
but I
States
want
let
to
me
hear her
is the
question.
big dog.
let me
They
just say,
have been battle tested since World War One, from World War Two till today. They've been
They
fighting.
were losing
So,
in Vietnam until black
sir,
American
sir.
soldiers came in.
Hey, look, get real. Stop doing this race thing. You are
No,
delusional,
but it's
sir.
because you don't want to
Sir,
account
sir,
for it. Because
sir,
if
sir.
okay, you're right, you're right, you're right, you're
So
right.
black Americans have special, superpowers. Is this what you're
Afrodamus,
Go study
give somebody
evolutionary
else
theory.
give
stop
sorry,
doing
somebody
sorry,
else
guys.
a chance to talk, Afrodamus.
stop doing the
Sorry,
delusional race thing.
Afrodamus,
Let's
give
get real.
somebody else a
Okay.
chance to
sorry.
talk, man.
Hey,
Sorry,
guy. Look, I got to let me pass the mic.
Let the
Cosmic, have
sisters.
you with
The
Cosmic?
sister had a question.
Hold
I
on,
think.
have you with Cosmic? Was that
Is
you?
that what?
Vic, yeah.
Big
Sorry,
rider.
no,
Hello, I can hear you, Dinus.
Yeah. Go ahead, Cosmic. I'm gonna pass it to
Okay, all
Silk.
right. So this is what I want to say from my own perspective, right? So I might be a little bit long. Give me about 5 minutes, right? The way I see
5
it,
minutes.
okay,
5
okay.
minutes.
So,
You know,
my
5
bad.
minutes. 5
Okay,
minutes.
okay, all right. Give me 2-3 minutes.
I
I'll be
just want to
fast.
be quick about this
V, hold
Russia.
on, V. You got other people
Okay,
talk. Cosmic. Then
okay,
after that is
all
Okay,
right.
so
Chopper.
this is what I'm seeing right now, right? From my own perspective, right? Since America went into Venezuela and took Maduro, it means that, from my perspective, and the way I'm seeing it, Russia can go take over Ukraine now, and China can go take over Taiwan. That's by the side. Let's go get to West Africa. I'm not hearing anybody say this thing. The AES has uranium. The AES has metals. They have metals. They have natural resources, which means that they can start making their own weapons. Most of these European countries do not have natural resources to make their own weapons. If the AES do this thing right, they can outgun the West because they don't have to buy natural resources from anybody. You can just go into your ground, take out the natural resources, mine it, and start creating weapons. What they need is the knowledge. So I'm saying this to say this. What I'm saying right now is that the old West now, because what I see is that the West is scared of what is going on in the AES. Because if you guys notice, gold has gone up, silver has gone up. And they are scared that what is going on in the
Sir,
AES.
how can the AES win? Your country is against the AES. Your country has been propped up to go.
Nigeria
What
cannot
are
do
you
anything.
talking about? Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Afrodamus, is this your program? Is this
Nigeria
your
is the
program,
biggest
sir?
sellout in West Africa right now. Ghana.
Afrodamus, let people talk, man.
Just let him finish.
Are you done, Afrodamus? Okay. So what I'm trying to say here is this: Nigeria is not, but Nigeria is ineffective. Nigeria is a crippled giant. I'm a Nigerian. You know what I'm saying? And the last thing Nigerians will let happen is the invasion of the AES. So what I'm trying to say is that for me personally, what I'm concentrating on is on AES. Like somebody said earlier, the only people who are prepared for the next 5 to 6 years, because about a week ago, Traore said there's a dark winter coming. And they are well prepared. And I believe in them. Why? Because of the strategic position of natural resources that they have. They can go into their land and mine metals and create weapons. Europe does not have that. The Gatling gun that the Europeans used to conquer Africa. Let me finish this and I'll give it back to you. The Gatling gun that Europeans used to conquer Africa during the 100-year-long battle, right? Who was selling them the steel? Africans. So if we want to win this imperialist war, all we need to do as Africans is stop selling these people natural resources, strategic natural resources, and which is what the AES is doing. So if the AES, Mali is already creating weapons now. They have a weapon manufacturing industry. So all they need to do is just start creating weapons, all kind of weapons, different kind of weapons, innovative weapons. The West will not be able to cope. I rest my case.
I'd like to mention that phosphate
The AES does
that
not
is
trust
found
Nigeria for good
Hold
reason.
on, Nostradamus. Hold on. I'd like to mention that phosphate that is found in the AES and Morocco. The Moroccan phosphate is what made the bullets to kill Africans. So phosphate is what makes gunpowder, and and you know that what they call it fertilizer. Fertilizer can make explosions. That's why um the phosphate is what makes gunpowder. So we need to understand how brilliant phosphate is, and it's in the AES all over the place.
Thank you. Thank you. So all they just need is organized structure and start just creating all different kind of weapons from your imagination. Go get your knowledge from Russia, from anywhere. Get all the brains and start creating weapons. And once you do that,
St. James, can you please
No,
tell
the
your
wants to talk.
president to add these Jamaican babblers to the ban list because these people will take you down. Don't
I'm
trust
all
them.
the way. I'm all the way in, bitch. You don't even have to invite me. I'm all the way in.
I gotta pass the mic to Sapo. Go ahead, Sapo. Meet yourself, Sapo. Meet yourself, Sapo.
Yes, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, well, thank you, Diners and the panel. The thing here is, when you look at the situation in Venezuela, you have to have some kind of guarantee that if you topple the government, you have to manage the government and you have to long-term win the support of the people and make sure that they're not going to have a government again that's going to be to the far left, like that of the president that has been taken out. And there is no real guarantee that you can do that effectively. And because some people, they're saying that, well, America has the capability of doing that. Yeah, you might have the capability, but long term, America hasn't proven that they've been able to take over a weak country and manage it. If you look at Vietnam, yes, the casualties were lopsided on the part of Vietnam, but Vietnam won the war because America had to withdraw. You go to Iraq, they couldn't manage it. President Bush assigned a governor general who was there for a time. But look at Iraq today. You can't say that was a success, and it's a relatively weak country. If you look at Afghanistan, it's the same thing. Basically, America ran away, and those people met them right at the airport, and you know exactly what happened. And Afghanistan is also a weak country, relatively weak country. So you might be belligerent and bellicose, but the truth about it is the Europeans have fought each other, real battle tested. But you cannot really have that kind of comparison side by side with the United States to say that the US has been battle tested, because against who? If you go back to the Bolsheviks, you go back to the time of Napoleon.
Small countries.
Yes, when Napoleon failed, he expanded his army. He invaded Russia. He invaded Prussia. They came together because he expanded himself so well. He failed. You go back to the Roman Empire. Because of the big expansion right to North Africa, the first Roman Empire collapsed. The second one failed. So time and again, you see these empires, as you expand yourself, you think you can be belligerent, you're going to fail. If you look at Germany in the 1930s, what happened when they invaded the Balkans? 6 small countries weakened the Germans, spent 6 weeks before he could go to Russia. They failed. And bear in mind that no country has ever really succeeded to beat Russia one-on-one. They tried time and again, they failed. So the difference is America has the money, prints the money because of the dollar that is being supported by so many countries in the world. Once you weaken that, and then you begin to trade different crucial minerals and oil in different currencies, they may not really have the money because Europe now is having population decline. And what happened because of the wars?
Europe is a useless continent. It adds nothing to nothing.
And that is where the power of NATO is, because the thing is, the USA cannot stand alone, because when you're threatening Canada, you're threatening the South, then you're threatening Europe. You stand alone, so you become the Romans. You get exposed, and you begin to provoke other countries. They test you in so many different ways because people just cannot know what the Chinese are thinking. And bear in mind, you really don't win a war because you fought so many different wars. You win a war because you make the other person to punch out. Like in boxing, they punch out to the point that they become very weak, like the Germans. The Germans were very strong. They were the strongest in Europe. But when they punched out in so many different ways, invaded Coventry, invaded the Balkans, by the time they went to Moscow, the Russians allowed them to be weak, then took them out. And they became a Russian colony. We know how that happened. So this whole thing about America can just take out any other person is more of a fantasy, because America has not fought any country that is capable one-on-one, because time and again you look at it, they keep losing, they keep losing, they keep losing in all of the wars that they've gone into, you know. So Venezuela is not really a success because they've studied the country for like maybe 75 years. They had that in the plan in place. But China doesn't have a goal of saying that I have to be belligerent. China is looking at building capacity, building technology, building weapons, and waiting for you to fail by yourself. Then you take them out. Same like you have in boxing.
All right, can the lady talk? Can the lady
Can I say
talk?
something and leave? I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave.
Let me hold on. Let me pass it to V. Then after that, we're going to close out. Go ahead. V.
No, I was just going to talk about when one of the gentlemen said that Russia is weak. Russia is not weak. Russia has nuclear weapons, and apparently they have some of the most sophisticated weapons, nuclear advanced, even more advanced than the US. Now, when the Ukraine war started, the Europeans were very, very agitated, and they wanted to, really mount some sort of, attack. They wanted to go in. But Russia warned them that they have weapons that could reach their capitals within 30 minutes.
And also have weapons whereby if you destroy Russia, there's a targeted ballistic or nuclear that will go to specific places. As in Russia, as you are destroying Russia, half of the world is destroying.
Yeah.
And so
I'm gonna say something about that. What? Just real quick. Russia has something called the dead man's hand, meaning that if any country shoots nuclear missiles at Russia, they have their satellites that will automatically detect that it's a nuclear warhead. And even if no Russian pushes the button for nukes, the system will do it for them.
AI.
It's called the dead man's hand.
And they said they warned, and at that time I was in the UK, and they warned them, and the British took it very serious. Some people say, "Oh, well, would the Russians really do that? Would they send?" And they took it very serious, because at the end of the day, now warfare is not about having the man; it's about the sophistication of your weapons. So
let me interject real quick. America is a bully, and as we know, bullies, they can only fight those they know they can beat. Once another bully stands up to them.
Listen. I mean, let's forget about America being a bully. It's always been an American style. It's always been a European thing anyway, the bully. It's always been the European thing. If you read your African history properly, the reason why they got over us time and time again is bullying. They bully our chiefs, they bully our kings, they bully them, and they send those days their warships at our
children and take them to Europe to indoctrinate them.
Yeah, they send them down our coast and tell the kings and that if you don't give us X amount of people, we're gonna be blasted, and they blast the villages.
They bought the village of one of the kings now.
Yeah. Anyway, let me just conclude on this. And so people shouldn't discount Russia. And also West Africa is in a major crisis at the moment. People are talking about Ghana and Nigeria. And Nigeria, the population of Nigeria, if you count the whole of West Africa population, we are about just over half of what Nigeria is. So Nigeria doubles us. And the state Nigeria is in is very problematic with your leader. Ghana, our current leader, I don't know what he's doing, because now we don't know that the Americans are not only using our airport, they also have an airstrip down up north. And today there was a spy plane that the people blocked. The police and the people blocked it. They have to get intervention from the government to release the plane to go. Currently, the only people that they are really on the ball is the AES. The whole of that West Africa is in a mess. And lastly, to say that the whole West Africa have the mineral resources to create their own weapons. There has never been a political will to do it. I hope the AES are really seriously thinking how to do it.
Oh, Mali's already doing it. Mali's already doing it 2 years ago.
To shame all those countries down south that they've been puppeting to these colonial leaders for all these years. West Africa has all the mineral resources. Some of it, we hold about 75% in the whole world. Some of the mineral rare
we can even create weapons that are even superior based on all the things that we have.
There's never been the political will, because we have weak puppeted leaders, and they've never been the political will to resource our army, to train our armies properly, simply because they are afraid of making recruits.
Christianity did it. Christianity caused that.
I'm
That's the
done.
secret weapon.
All
That's
right.
the secret.
Say can
That's
I
the
say my
secret weapon. That's the
part and
secret
leave?
weapon for. That's a secret weapon for the Europeans. Christianity and the Arabs. The secret weapon is Islam to
All right.
defeat Africa.
All right. So clearly, it looks like a lot of like Sopo and this other guy, a lot of West African babble. I'm talking about America. They're talking about Europe. What's Europe got to do with Africa? The United States surrounds the world pretty much. They have, military base everywhere. And to sit here and say the US doesn't win wars is the most delusional thing I have ever heard, in my lifetime.
Name the
So let me finish. Sir, be quiet. Let me finish.
Name them.
So they're talking about Afghanistan. These are primitive places. The job
exactly.
got done.
They can only
Look, let me finish, sir. Let me finish. They didn't go there to take the place. The job got done. You don't understand how the United States work. You don't understand how they
Afghanistan
work.
is a small
Sir,
country.
let me finish.
Afghanistan is as small as Lagos.
Hey man, let the man finish. Let the man finish. Let Afrodama start, man, and get white people balls out his mouth.
So clearly, if you look at it, before I leave, the AES, they're doing the right thing. They should not trust Ghana. They should not trust Nigeria. These places are already gone. They are sellouts. Okay, this lady can sit here and pretend talking about they've stopped a spy plane. That's a horse of shit. That's not true. That's a big lie. They don't have the capability. They cannot do it. Their government. Let me finish. Hold on. Let me finish. Let me finish.
It was on the ground.
Hold on. Let me finish.
Tell America to
Let me finish. People who cannot even have stable electricity are going to be able to stop a spy plane. Okay, I believe you. Okay.
Are you done yet?
If this is true,
exactly why
let me finish. Stop. You are here blabbing about the AES. They just bombed your country. You should be figuring out how to make bullets and stop that instead of telling. Be quiet. Hold on.
I trust the indigenous people of Nigeria.
I'm sure. Yeah, you do. So here's the thing. AES, you need to add these other countries to the ban list if you want to continue to survive. They are spies. They would take you down. Thank you, and I'm out.
I think the AES needs to invade
Benin. Talk too much.
We can still have this conversation while keeping it very civil. The thing is, when you making your point and you're making it as if you're part of the intelligence agency, and it's just speculative. The thing is, when I talked about the wars, I'm not undermining the strength and capacity of the United States. You have to look at the context. I told you that these countries are relatively weak countries. If you're talking about a history of wars, the Europeans have stood from deep trenches and fought each other in a way that America has never done. And you cannot name one major conflict that the United States has engaged with a country of immeasurable capacity. That's what I'm saying. That's why I went through the timeline. If you look at even Athens, it was very powerful. It conquered most of the world. How did it fail? Expansion until it went back to the same Sparta that they had defeated. The Spartans defeated them. That was a collapse of Athens, and it never recovered.
Yeah, like Yemen. Look at what Yemen.
We're talking about modern day warfare now. You get what I'm saying?
Look at Yemen. Did they defeat Yemen?
See, but these are small countries. My point is that, of course, America can conquer Yemen. Of course, America can conquer Afghanistan. Of course, America can conquer all these small countries, Vietnam, and go fight wars with them. What's their population? America is a population of over 300 million people. America has a capacity because guess what? Nobody in the history of the world has had the ability to have the amount of capital so fast and the amount of brain power so fast to create all this technology, right? So, of course, they can invade and conquer Afghanistan. Again, tell them to go and conquer North Korea.
Exactly. North Korea, they cannot conquer North Korea because
You get what I'm saying? You
North
see,
Korea has
they can
nuclear
only
missiles and nuclear missiles that can reach American allies and possibly American shores. And that's the reason why the United States would never pull
exactly. You
the
get what I'm
same thing that
saying?
they did on Venezuela as they would on North Korea. That would be literally suicide at that point of the United States to do it. And that's why I said earlier, if you don't got nuclear weapons, you are you are just a act of the head of the military, the POTUS, who's the head of all armies, to just say bomb them, invade them. They could send they could send Delta Force to even Nigeria. Nigeria or any other country, Ghana, if they don't play by the rules that they want, they could just send Delta Force in there and just take over Aso Rock in 30 minutes. I mean, Nigerians wouldn't even fight back, the indigenous people, because the indigenous people have no pride in the country. You get what I'm saying? Like when you I don't think people understand, when you have people that have a quote unquote national pride, you have to defeat not only their government, but their people. Just what happened in Vietnam. That's why Vietnam was able to defeat the United States. Afrodamus ran before he could even get the information. Yes, and Black Americans did joining in or being heavily recruited into Vietnam military, the military during that time in the U.S. did prolong the conflict because of the added Black American soldiers. This is facts. But ultimately, it didn't work out because too many white soldiers were dying, and there was a lot of protests and unrest. You can look up Kent University protests out there, I think in Ohio, where there was a protest that led to some of the students being killed.
Yeah, so many protests. Bring the boys home was a key word. 1955 to 1975. It takes the United States 20 years and still lose to Vietnam with the fall of Saigon. So how can you say it's very powerful? 20 years for Vietnam, that Japan invaded and just conquered Indochina.
I think this is the part you guys are missing. I think this is the part you guys are missing. Vietnam did win that war.
Listen what
Vietnam suffered 4 times as many casualties as the American side did. So
we suffered about 15 to 20 times, but this is the thing. I gave you the example of boxing. You can punch me 3 times, I drop to the ground. But the point of it is, if in the last round and you swing, you miss, and I knock you down, you don't get up, I won, even if you are winning on the card. So that is the thing. So you don't look at that is a major blow.
Yeah, Ho Chi Minh himself said that the war will be a war of attrition. He said, you can kill 15 of ours and we'll kill one of yours, but at the end, we're going to continue fighting.
Yeah.
And that's what Ho Chi Minh said.
Oh,
and that's
it's called guerrilla warfare.
Yeah, the United States folded because they could not deal, just like the Israeli military. The Israeli military, when they get too many casualties, their people start saying for them to fall back. When they start getting too many casualties,
because they don't have the numbers.
Yeah,
but the AES do though. What is the population of the AES under Traore?
And see, that's the thing that Troy was talking about. They're gonna have to suffer a lot of casualties and be willing to bleed and suffer many casualties. Which I think in West Africa we're willing to do that. Us black people.
It took over 100 years before the European could conquer us, and it couldn't conquer us until they brought in the Gatling gun.
Yeah.
Hey, I agree with you. I agree with you.
I mean,
but as long as we don't give up,
he have to stand at the
but as long as we don't give up, they will go away. That's all I'm saying.
See, this is my own point I want to make so far.
Go ahead.
When the world wise up that this life is not about morality. It's about reality. It's about hierarchy. It shows you. Life shows you everywhere. Even in the jungle, it's about hierarchy. So you must use what you have to your advantage.
Mm-hmm.
The Vietnamese were able to hold off the United States for 20 years.
They were fighting United States and France.
You know what I'm saying? Hold on. Vietnam was able to hold America for 20 years. And America didn't start even making progress until Black America came into it. this is where Afrodamo will say race. The white boys were getting killed.
Yep.
They were getting outsmarted.
Hey.
And then the Vietnamese were telling the black Americans, this is not your war.
Yep, black man go home. This is not your war.
So even when the black man was breaking their bone, the black American man was breaking their bone, they still were looking at the black man like, we know you. We know that you don't have a choice. We know that you are trying to prove something. But that's by the way. That's on that conversation.
Yeah.
So my point is this, right? AES should invade Benin. You have an excuse now. You invaded Venezuela. No problem. Invade Benin. Invade Togo. Face Nigeria. We are taking back Songhai Empire.
Listen, I'm going to tell you this.
See, we are going to make the whole of West Africa Songhai Empire.
Listen, Nigeria cannot defeat AES in a military battle.
That's what I'm saying. But
I know this for a fact.
Are you making sense of what I'm saying?
Listen, I know this for a fact. And my parents is from Nigeria.
Oh, Nigeria.
Nigerian military is not a real military.
No, they're a bunch of Fulanese. They are all these Fulanese in there.
Hey, listen.
Listen,
I'm gonna tell you a story. I was in Abuja in 2021. We were going to a restaurant, and they got security out there because it's the capital. So you have like the mobile police, you have military, out there in Abuja on all the streets, checkways, and everything. There was a man. He was a northerner. He was a soldier. This man had his sidearm. He had his sidearm the wrong way.
Huh.
You know how a police officer carries their sidearm?
I'm from Nigeria. I lived in Nigeria for 18 years.
Yeah, listen, you know how police officers in America, they carry their sidearm on their strong side.
Yes.
He put his sidearm
on his weak side.
And had the barrel facing.
You don't know what the fuck he's doing.
Facing the other way. Not even like a regular. And my uncle was like, you need to move it the other side and have it this way. Like he had it to where you got to go across your body on the left side with your right hand. And I just was like, these guys, bro.
See, that's what I'm saying.
These guys is
Nigeria is right for a colonization. But
Nigeria
when we
is a terrorist government.
See, at the end of the day, let me tell you something. All this intellectualization, at the end of the day, the West African man will have to reconquer himself.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Can I get a voice now? Hold on. I believe what you're saying. I think that the AES in general should make a big old plan and capture Rock, because Nigeria is a banana republic. It is a banana republic.
And
you feel me?
Will support it, especially those in the middle belt. Yeah. The middle belt will support it. They will back them up.
But this is what I'm saying, right? Don't go for Nigeria straight.
Hold on. I don't think no Nigerian would fight back. I don't think no Nigerian would.
We don't want to fight. We hate these motherfuckers. We hate them with, in short, if we can, we will rip them into. They have stolen our future. They have destroyed men. They have destroyed great men. They have destroyed greatest of men.
Nigeria has become a prostitute country. It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible. It needs to be taken over. Huh?
You said prostitute. Do you mean that literally or just figuratively?
No, that literally. Well, literally
and figuratively.
The poverty has gotten so bad. A lot of young women are seeking, sugar daddies.
They are being trafficked all over Africa, West Africa.
Yeah.
Look I grew up in Nigeria at a time whereby the average Yoruba girl, the beauty of being Yoruba was modesty. It's modesty. That is the core of Yoruba culture. Modesty.
Now they're wearing
the economy, that which should be free and wide and expansive has now been constricted into the moral fabric that you have to now ask a question: should I die or just live up my pussy, man?
Yeah. because
Yeah.
she has no choice. You have left her with no fucking choice. You see,
Yeah.
let me tell you something. My grandfather was the auditor of Nigerian Seaport Authority and the auditor of Nigeria Airways. I was raised by my grandparents. My grandmother was a teacher, a public teacher for 50 years. My father is was an architect, right?
Mm-hmm.
My grandfather was also the treasury of Nigerian Rotary Club. So I'm saying this to say that my grandfather was not very rich, but he was at a certain vantage point whereby he could see
A
everything.
structure. He had a structure.
Right. And every now and then, my grandfather would stop and start crying. Mind you, I'm like 7, 8 years old. And I'll be like, Grandpa, why are you crying? You say,
Because
Biola, I am sorry.
you see the future.
He said, Biola, I am sorry. I'm saying, what do you mean you are sorry? He said, you cannot understand. We did not plan for it to be this way. Biola, I am sorry. Now I am seeing it. This fucking Nigeria owes my grandfather a 30-year pension. They told my grandfather to a person that had to go and knock on his neighbor.
Yes, it's true.
Listen,
And
My grandfather would tell me that Biola, to steal for me was as easy as erasing 0 or adding 0.
mm-hmm.
That was how easy it was for me to say, Biola, I did not take 1 kobo from Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
He said my name is more
listen, the
important than
government.
any
Listen,
other thing in the world.
Vultures took
And
over
guess what?
Nigeria,
His
bro.
children scorned him for
Hey,
it.
listen, this man. The government is a white loving government, both the Arab side and the Christian side. So I'm telling you, you all are in a very bad dilemma, because let me tell you this. The religions are telling you that blackness is an enemy. And so the people, in their consideration, have nothing black in it. So the government is only catered to Europeans. That's what's going on. They see you living in trash and don't say nothing. They producing beggars, all that stuff. That's what they think that blackness belong to. You feel me? They don't see blackness in
Exactly. They
luxury.
project what they want us to be
Yeah.
onto us
They don't
by
see blackness in
facilitating it.
Yeah, they don't see a Dubai. They don't see you black people in Nigeria deserving of a Dubai city or
Yep.
cities.
Don't. You're right.
This is where you got to go to the Kissinger report. And by the way, do you see how high speed is debunking everything that is going on now? White boys are asking, I did not believe Africa had buildings.
Yeah.
I speak. So many
I
of them
speed.
on TikTok.
You know what,
it.
Biola, what you said is very correct. You know, if you talk to your grandparents' generation,
my grandfather is dead.
I know, but when you talk to your grandparents' generation when they were alive, and you know, rest in peace to your grandfather.
Thank you.
Nigeria is completely different, and you know, a lot of things happen. And what happened is ultimately, you know, once vultures took over, it just became just a bunch of vultures, bro.
I like the way you put it, because my grandfather's generation was given free education by their grandparents who fought a bloody war to take the Europeans out of that fucking place. Black women had to rip children out of their pregnancy. West African women had to rip children out of their belly and stuff the barrels of the cannon. You see, again, we have amnesia. We do
I want to tell you, I want to also,
for us.
Hold on, my brother. I want to also tell you something. Nigeria is also pain. They are paying for the
recognized pain.
Hold on, outlaw. Nigerians are paying for the past. You see, Africans have never paid for slavery, and they have never compensated for slavery and never got compensated. And also the mental aspect of it. So they have never been what you'd call the Dr. Joy degree. You see me? Where she talks about post-traumatic
slave complex. And that's what happened to Nigeria. They have post-traumatic slave complex. So you see, that's why the kidnapping is so normal, because it's in their blood. That's what they've been going through over 500 years, and they haven't gotten over that stuff because they don't
We
teach it
don't
in.
even know. We don't. We are not even
Well, kidnapping is
aware.
a phenomenon in Nigeria because if you go back to even colonial Nigeria, you know, there was no
It's all kidnapping. It's all kidnapping.
No. But
It was all-
listen to what I'm saying, brother.
yeah.
Kidnapping
Wording
is a new.
matters. Wording
Listen,
matters.
kidnapping is a new phenomenon.
No, it's not.
No. I'm sorry. It's a phenomenon in this particular last couple of generations, and this is what I'm trying to say. And I know what you're meaning.
Okay.
I know what you're meaning. I know what you're meaning. What you're talking about is
The
slave owners and things
resurgence.
like that.
The resurgence.
No, but I know what you mean. But I'm saying that this situation of kidnapping occurred when poverty came to different parts, all parts of Nigeria, because at first it was in southern Nigeria back in the 90s where you would see some kidnapping. Then when you get to the 2000s, 2010s, that's when you started seeing kidnappings going on in the northern Nigeria, middle belt region and all that with mainly Fulani bandits. And then because what happened was there was ransom that was being paid by the government.
But please, sir, don't go in the details. Like none of us is slow. You feel me? I understand all of that. You feel me? I understand that things boil down and warm up back. I understand all of that.
In the 80s, 70s.
No. Hold on, man. But what I'm saying is the same kidnappers there that was kidnapping in the 15th and the 16th century. Their bloodline is still the same kidnappers now. You're talking about the Fulani. You're talking.
This is deep.
Let me talk, man. Hold on, man. Hey, man. Let me. Hey. Hold on, man. Let me finish. You're talking about the Fulanis. First of all, let's go ahead and speak about the Fulanis. They was not in Nigeria. They came since Usman Dan Fodio. Before that, they was North Africans, and they got chased by the Arabs after they got converted. Hold on, man. Hold up. North Africa had a lot of black people, and they have chased them down to the south. That's why so much people is in Nigeria, because the Fulani and other northern tribes chased them down because of colonization and kidnapping. They have kidnapped the whole of the people in North Africa. That's kidnapping that has been going on even before white people. You feel me? And it's the same group. It's the same group, and their bloodline, it's in their blood now. You feel me? That's why they refer to this type of behavior now, because they're used to it. Nigeria was a place where the British had some and the Arab had some, and they would pick people out of these crowds to sell, both on the coast and in the north. And that's how it's always been. We as the people from over in Western world, we were kidnapped from the middle belt of Africa, where you see Plateau and even northern Benin, northern Togo, northern Ghana. That's where we as enslaved people come from. We didn't come from the coast. We came from where they had us.
Inner Africa.
Yeah, we came from inner Africa, where they put us in a. They herded us in and encircled us. So we had some on the north that got wealthy got some benefit from kidnapping slaves, and from right there in that line. You feel me? In that middle belt, Plateau, and where do you see, and Benue, all these states were places where they picked slaves from. You feel me? And the southern people on the coast, they were rich. They were getting rich off slavery also, and they used to go to the north to pick people from northern Ghana and northern Benin and northern all these areas. You feel me? And that's how and these people in their Christian minds, they have never gotten over it. Right now, Africans need treatment. Africa needs mental treatment because most Africans who are in Islam or Christianity is out of their minds. You see me? And nothing real is nothing real they gonna take serious. They gonna they gonna fight against real stuff.
Yeah.
Both of them. They gonna
I
fight against Pan Africanism and they gonna fight against black consciousness because that gives order and also a realization who the enemy is. And the colonized people don't like you to speak about the Arab, hold on, about the white man being an enemy. The Christian don't like you speaking that way about the white man being an enemy. And the Muslims, oh, they don't like you to talk about the Arab being an enemy. You see me? And there's something about the Sahel that is messing up everything. And I hope they figure it out. But they have to find a way to get rid of Islam because even after they die, the resurgence of jihadists will occur as long as Islam exists. And as long as Christian exists, we gonna have black idiots, even grown people as idiots.
Yeah, this is what I would say. Like it applies to many African countries, or if not all, but especially with respect to Nigeria, which is more or less a case study in Africa, because the average African or Nigerian is suffering from what I would call cultural confusion, social intoxication, and religious pollution, to the extent that when you have a population of 240 million people who really truly believe that you can rely on miracle and prosperity to move ahead in life, that kind of delusion is more than schizophrenic, because it has never happened in the world. Because I was speaking to a couple of Africans, mostly Nigerians, the other time, and I said, but what makes you truly believe? Because your little pulpitier pastor tells you that this year will be a year of prosperity. Just a couple of days ago, you guys were saying Shiloh 2026. You've been saying it for the last 30 years, and you're thinking you're crossing over, and this year your bank account will swell up to $200,000. I said, it's not going to happen. Why wouldn't you just pray instead of your bank account getting bigger, for you to have better roads, for you to have military weapons equipment? We've known that real power in this world is your best defense, and real power wins. Where have you seen a nation win a battle because of some logic that the Romans put together, and then they gave you a scripture? So when you say the problem in Africa, especially Nigeria, has to do with Christianity and Islam, of course it is true, and especially the Pentecostal or charismatic or evangelical version of Christianity. It is the most unfortunate thing to happen in the African continent. A country like Nigeria doesn't have just a president; it has so many different leaders. Oyedepo commands more people and can influence them more than Tinubu in Nigeria. He just has to say it, and all they have to do is to believe it, because he said it. And he says, I have the anointing. God speaks to me, which of course God has never spoken to him, as corrupt a man as he's always been. But he tells the people, and they do it. If one man can stand and millions of Nigerians can follow him, and he demands 10% of their income, and they give it to him while they're living in abject poverty, while he has about 6 private jets, then you begin to know that these people can never stand up for anything. So what I would just say is, if there are 100 rungs on the ladder, the 100 being 100% of your success, the first rung on that ladder, Africans have not even put their foot on that rung. It is really sad, because Christianity and Islam are the two most predictable factors for underdevelopment, sycophancy, and self-loathing, and you're never ever going to grow with those two. When they came to Africa, it was a real death of Africa, and that colonialism is going to stay for a very long time. It needs a very serious intervention. But in Nigeria, all the intellectuals that sometimes you see people articulate themselves so eloquently, how do you end up with a president like Tinubu? But the thing is, tribalism comes to play. Religion comes to play. All of that comes to play.
I can give you a little synopsis. Evil people is in control of Nigeria, and not only that, gangsters. So the what you'd call the misfits are the ones who are the senators and the president. You feel me? See, the president, his academics is questionable. How can you have a president with questionable academics, but you have geniuses that is winning, that has won 8 subjects in doctorate? Like, he won all in the United States.
I can explain to you why.
All. So what I'm saying is, misfits and people with what you call savage behavior, and just because nobody can really fight those people, or the intellectual don't really try to fight those people, they are in control.
Econ Fire, I can explain that.
Yeah.
Doesn't President Tinubu, I hear that he has like a drug trafficking record. That's just
what I'm talking about.
Yeah, he does. He has it's not necessarily exactly drug trafficking, but he had money that was tied to a drug trafficker. It was money laundering, and that he had to forfeit money because he couldn't prove where that he earned it legitimately, and so he forfeited that money. And it was tied. The money was tied to somebody that was caught up in a heroin trafficking.
And they have him by the balls like that.
So Econ Fire, I'm explaining to you why the smart people of Nigeria are not
in leadership.
So Nigeria does not have a meritocracy. They have what's called federal character and quota system. This was created after the Nigerian Civil War. So this was to prevent different groups that were more educated than others from dominating different parts of Nigeria's government system or even companies. So, and this is even down to the children. So, for example, you have something called JAMB, JAMB. You can look it up. If you're from certain ethnic groups, you are given when you take this exam, it's like an SAT for going.
Yeah, Joint Admissions Matriculation Board.
Yeah. So if you're from certain states, you get you can score a lower score and get admission into universities compared to someone from a certain state that scores higher. So, for example, if you're from a certain state, certain regions or states.
Yeah, if one state have a lot of passes, they still won't get admitted because they still have to share passes with even the lower grade from the other communities.
Correct. So that's called
structural adjustment.
Yeah, structural adjustment.
That's messed up. That's messed up.
So what happens is that you create a culture generation after generation where now you are allowing people that are not educated, qualified or educated to basically get into different spheres of power or influence. And that's why a lot of the people that are a lot more intellectually inclined, those are the ones that are either going to leave, or if they stay in Nigeria, they're going to create their own business. So you do have people that are legitimately rich without the help of the government. But that's, of course, is only going to be a small minority of people because, again, capital is resource thin. You also, there's a little bit of luck, even though you have to put that in with hard work. So you do have people that have been able to get it up out the mud and be able to become very successful within Nigeria. That's your business class. So you have your business class that is not tied to the government. For example, Dangote.
Yeah, private.
Correct. Dangote is
a private sector.
But Dangote is the creation of those that corrupt individuals that you talk about. He was given allowed to have a monopoly for certain things, such as he's not even just dealing oil and gas. There's even cement. He had a big competitor that was a cement competitor in Nigeria during the time of Obasanjo. He was given leeway to basically dominate the cement sector, which is, for building. And as you can imagine, when you have a rising population, there's going to be more buildings. People are going to build more houses. So this allowed him to have a monopoly over the cement industry within Nigeria, not just petroleum. So he's even a creation, much like Elon Musk is, of the federal government. So he got a lot of leeway. Then you have those that are like your vulture class. I call them your vulture class. These are sometimes multi-generational political families that have been stealing money since pretty much like the early 70s. So they'll have their sons even become governors, or even heads of state. In fact, if you look up Nigeria's heads of states, most of the Nigerians' heads of states are some of the oldest that you've ever seen, like in the world. Up until Obasanjo, everybody that was the head of state, outside of Jonathan, and Jonathan was by happenstance because Yaradua died. Every single head of state was in the military prior to the prior to the Civil War.
Yeah.
So they were controlled. The reason why they were the main heads of state, from Obasanjo to Yaradua to Buhari to Murtala Muhammad to Gowon, the reason why those people were all allowed, Babangida does another one. The reason why all of those were heads of states for so long of Nigeria's history is because the Sokoto Caliphate could trust these individuals to not interfere in whatever their agenda was. So anytime you can get to, now, if you want to have a country move forward, you need to get to the younger generation. Those in their 30s and 40s need to be the ones, because those are the ones with the vision. Those are the ones with the wherewithal of what's going on in the world. And unfortunately, Nigerians, just like many Africans, they have this high level of respect for the very old. And they allow the very old to set their future. And that's not good. You need fresh ideas, fresh thinkers. And unfortunately, just the way that a lot of Africans are and a lot of Nigerians are, they have this preference for those that are elder statesmen and those that don't bring new ideas to the table. And it's not that all Nigerians feel that way. It's just that there's an acceptance of it by a good chunk of them. And because the reason why there's not going to be a revolution, and I said this last time when Dynasty Samir was doing the discussion concerning Anthony Joshua, the reason why there's not going to be a revolution in Nigeria, within Nigeria, is because every ethnic group is worried about the potential backfire of engaging in a revolution. Because any revolution can be viewed as ethnically biased. And that can lead to a backfire, because, and this is even if it's not considered that. There's not going to be a revolution within Nigeria. And I think the only thing that can happen, which more than likely won't happen, is for someone like Abraham Traore to invade Nigeria, because Nigerians are not going to fix it. I think Nigerians will even, I think Nigerians are so scared of standing up against the government. And mind you, not all politicians, not all governors or senators are, corrupt. But what happens is, if you have to go to certain, APC is full of corrupt politicians, but they create new political parties every 8 years. I remember, you had PDP and all these. I mean, back in the 90s, it was different. It was different political groups. They literally create new political groups. Now they have ADC, I think. They have new political parties every 8 years to make the people think that it's a new batch of people with new ideas, and it's the same old, vultures. And these guys are living long. I mean, these guys that are vultures are living into their 80s and 90s. I mean, so
they're going to Europe for consultation, so they have all the benefits.
Yeah. I mean, Atiku is up there, and he still looks strong. He's got to be in his late 70s, early 80s by now. I mean, a lot of these guys have been around for a very long time, and then their children are expected to take over. I mean, even I even see many people that are hoping that Sei Tinubu becomes president too, by 2031.
Who?
Sei Tinubu, Obasanjo's son. I've seen many people that are angling for him to be head of state, probably 2031, maybe not 2027, because they want, they might want Obi to be in, or they might want Tinubu to be in for 2027. So it's a very interesting thing. It is a psychosis. It's really, to be honest, most Nigerians, I'd say about 90% of Nigerians are under a spell.
Of course, people under a spell. Like I said, if you have one man, I mean, I was looking at even like the part of religion. I watched a number of tapes of TB Joshua speaking. I said, he doesn't really have a mastery of the Bible. How come many people that I know that are pastors, when you read the Bible over and over, you become very erudite, you become very articulate, but he could barely string together a sentence. Then I kept saying, how do people congregate and listen to this guy? And time and again, he's lying to them, and they believe it.
Hey, he will even lie about who's going to win. He will say this year, this election, so and so is going to win, and it'll be a lie, and then they'll still support him.
Of course, he said Hillary was going to win because he was looking at the polls like every other person, and they cheered. Come the election, Hillary lost, and he printed an email which he just kind of brandished. He didn't really show them. Then he said, "Look, I received thousands of emails. These are the names, and Americans made themselves naked." And they sent him an email to beg God. It means he was an intermediary. He had to speak to God to change it overnight.
Yeah.
So, and the people believed it. And he said, the new guy is just going to be a great guy. And Suleiman, Mr. Miracle Money Alert, he also said Hillary was going to win. Then he blamed the congregation for not praying. He said, look, many times in the Bible, God said something and the people didn't pray for it, and it didn't happen. Then he told them in the church that you can use the Bible for good and evil, that you can.
All right, let's see some solutions. How can the Sahel get a currency solution?
A currency?
I mean, they have the CFA franc, which is they might want to disassociate with it.
I mean, they'd have to peg to a stronger currency. They'd have to peg to the Chinese currency, because the thing about it, IMF, World Bank,
peg what?
Peg their AES currency to someone else that has value within the trading system.
Yeah, and this is what I disagree with, right? This is what I disagree with. I disagree with the thought that everybody's supposed to just try to make their own currency. I disagree with it.
Yeah, no, I don't agree. I never said that they should. I'm saying
I'm saying is, to me, abandoning the CFA is mandatory. You feel me? So they do need a different currency. But I'm saying that they should adopt a currency that is an existing currency. I have an idea, right? I see Kwame Nkrumah have generated the CD, right? And I'm not sure who prints the CD. I'm not sure of. But if Ghana is the one that prints the CD, then I think the AES would make a good idea to adopt the CD, and the CD would now grow as a African currency that maybe would be spendable in other African countries, just because of how big it gonna be and how powerful it gonna be, because it gonna have the raw materials of the AES to back it, and also Ghana gold to back it. And we don't have to tie our currency to anyone else's currency. This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
We don't have to tie our currency to anyone else's currency. We can tie our currency to only gold. And this is what I'm saying is, what makes a currency is public favor or public recognition, public confidence.
Correct.
That's the only thing that makes a currency strong, a fiat currency strong. You feel me?
Yeah.
Public confidence.
What Troy is doing is he's using gold in his transactions with, China and Russia, right? Because
but we're not talking about that. We're not talking about that. I know, I understand the power of gold. Gold is the only real currency in the world different from humanity. You feel me? But gold is not applicable to everyday spending.
correct. Now,
You
I'll
feel me?
say, yeah, I understand what you're saying. I'm gonna say this. There's a
So what
overall.
I'm saying is the CD is already taking its role as a gold-backed currency, and it's getting stronger because they are accumulating gold. The Sahel, it has an issue. Now, if they try to make a new currency, just like what happened in Guinea, Conakry, they can make fake money and try to exploit the credential of the currency. But if you try to adopt an existing currency, I think you run less risk. I think you would run less risk in what you'd call isolating yourself. You run less risk of isolation. Also, it is in good favor of it is in good favor of Ghana, Pan-Africanism and Black consciousness to adopt this currency because it's Kwame Nkrumah built and it's independent. You feel me?
Yeah,
and that would be a master stroke.
I see where you're coming from. The thing about it, when it comes to international trade between countries, most country contracts are done through the United States dollar, because the United States dollar is. I know you know this, but it's a world reserve currency. Now, here's the thing: is that there's a financial overhaul going on right now, and there's two. The Europeans unfortunately control a lot of these financial systems. One is going to be the Bank of International Settlements. And then right now they're creating this the CBDC, the central bank digital currency. So if you're not tied to the central bank digital currency, and which is tied to the Bank of International Settlements out there in Basel, Switzerland, you pretty much are.
No. This is where you gone wrong, right? This is where you gone wrong, right?
I'm telling you, this is how Zimbabwe. This is how Zimbabwe. No, but this is how Zimbabwe under Mugabe got. Because when Mugabe kicked out,
but hold on, I know all of that. They got excluded from the
currency quickly.
Hold on, man. Yeah, I understand. They got excluded from the SWIFT. I understand. If you, come on, we far than that, man. What are you trying to do? This associate? Are you trying to forget about BRICS? BRICS is there. And you need to understand
I brought up.
Yeah, you need to understand what's going on. You need to understand. Hold on. You need to understand what's going on in the world. People are
very much what's going on in the world. Don't underestimate me, brother.
Yeah, I know you know, but you need to speak more futuristic in terms of these settlements that the Europeans are talking about. It's a failing system. These are things they're using.
It is a futuristic thing that will happen.
Yeah, but these are things that will fail because these countries are failing. You feel me? What I'm saying is this dependability is stopping. Africa is right now organizing the PPP or something like that, the Pan African Payment System, the PPPS or PPP, where Africans are abandoning US dollar transfer. You feel me? So that means they can spend their own currency and get the equivalent of it of their merchandise through different countries in Africa. So what you don't understand that American dollar is almost going to be invisible in trade in Africa. You feel me? So and it's already there. So what I'm saying now about Burkina Faso and Mali and Niger is we want a grand currency. We don't want a continent with all type of mixed up currency. We want a grand currency. So therefore, we need to adopt. We need to adopt a stable and independent currency that is already existing, so we can rise a currency in the continent. You feel me? And that's why I'm saying now, because of the heritage of Ghana and Kwame Nkrumah, the Sahel would be appropriate to adopt this currency, because look at what it gonna do now. It gonna spark a fire through Africa. Oh, the Sahel has adopted the CD as their currency, and everybody gonna speak about it. And suddenly, because currency is strong by public confidence, you feel me? So suddenly, the African continent would bust out wild, and everybody would know what the CD is, and everybody would like, what the hell? And eventually it could be going cross borders and hold up, wait. And not only that, now, if that happens, then it would ricochet into Senegal and Guinea-Bissau and all the places that use CFA would actually maybe just completely adopt the CD.
Isn't that,
and that
like the concept of the equal currency that was projected for 2027, 28?
I don't understand. Explain further.
Because West Africa has always had a plan to establish the equal currency. They kept pushing the date.
Oh yeah, but who was planning that? Hold on.
A little bit.
Yeah, 1 second. 1 second. I understand that, but the riffraff Fulani guy called Buhari, this and the piece of shit called Alassane Ouattara, all of these scumbag gangster people, they're the ones who destroyed that avenue. So I have eliminated that out of my mind. I don't want no echo and F the echo. You feel me? What I'm saying is Ghana is a beautiful country with a beautiful independent history from Kwame Nkrumah, and it would be a great thing if they just formulate that avenue where
any country that has a currency that you're going to basically back they're going to be backing you, they have to have the ability to protect themselves and their partners. Because when you look at the history of world reserve currencies, when they've changed over time, the reason why countries went to those as reserves is because of the power and the power that those people had. So when Britain had it, when the pound sterling was world reserve currency, it was because Britain had the ability to wreak havoc across anybody that crossed their path or crossed their partner's paths. Right? Same thing with the United States.
Same with the U.S. dollar.
Yeah, the reason why countries buy U.S. Treasury bonds is because U.S. Treasury bonds are backed by the United States military. Like the United States military is basically guaranteeing that they will pay it, even if they got to go to war to pay it. If they got to invade Venezuela, they're going to make sure that that stuff is those.
That invasion in Venezuela. You think it's about oil? No, it's about the U.S. dollar.
No, I already know that because I already know about the petrodollar. I already know about that.
Yeah. They're trying to maintain
They're trying to
because
maintain the
because
petrodollar as much as
because
possible.
they cannot go into Saudi Arabia like that. They trying to use the Venezuela oil to maintain their dollar because that's what is backing their dollar.
Exactly, but that's the reason
Mhm.
why U.S. But see, this is the thing. Even though you, I agree
Along
with
with
you.
force.
I agree with you. This is the
Of
reason
course,
why
we
the
are on the
United
same
States.
side.
We're on the same page, but this is the reason why the United States currency is the world reserve currency, because they're willing to do these type of things to back up their currency. That's going to continue honoring these, contracts that countries have between each other and all that. Now, BRICS is attempting to fracture that influence, and that's the reason why Russia and China was dealing with Venezuela.
Yeah, but let's talk about Africa, right? Let's talk about Africa in terms of Africa is a whole different entity from the rest of the world. And what I'm trying to say to you is we need to we need to find a way to reduce the currencies in Africa. We need to find a way to have one or two or three or four currencies in Africa, and that's it. We don't need this 1 million currency because that's the only way you gonna have your currency spent outside of Africa.
Okay,
That's the only way.
this is a thing, right? I think the currency is kind of like you're like going about 75% of what has to be done. Then the currency has to be some important part of it, but the groundwork, there's just so many things for you to lay down before you can really think that your currency can be of any meaningful use. Because the thing is, number one, you have to have productive capacity, which means that you have to have manufacturing. Because you can have the currency, you can have so many countries be part of the currency. It's not really going to be of any use if your external trade is just you have negative balance of trade. It's just not going to be a very useful currency. The problem that African countries have is, I mean, about 10 years ago, it was still 92% trade externally, 8%
But
within the
no,
country.
no, you are speaking out of context, my bro. This how
No,
you're
I'm
speaking
just
out
trying
of
to
it.
lay
Wait,
the
wait,
No,
wait.
he's
Let
trying
me
to tell you that
explain something.
international
Let,
and within the
let,
continent,
let,
trade
let-
is minimal.
hold on. Let me explain something to you.
right.
You speak as if Africa is trying to organize themselves out of a garbage dump. You don't speak as if Africa has gold, the
No,
world's
I
gold.
understand.
All
The thing
right,
is,
just hold on, outlaw. When you speak, you have to put these things in mind and speak appropriately. So you can't say, okay, um, Africa currency gonna value nothing because people don't recognize it. Africa is
I
not
think
begging any. Africa,
yeah,
listen, Africa is not begging, and what I'm saying is to stay internally in Africa. What I mean is we need to make one currency spread. So when one currency spread, and as I said, people can people can don't have no gold, no diamond, and still have a currency, my brother. You feel me? And and what I
yeah,
mean,
we can look.
hold on. As I
Okay, go
said,
ahead. You keep saying,
public
hold on, man.
confidence.
You've been
Wait,
speaking
wait,
for like
wait. As I
90% of
said,
the time.
as I said, public confidence is what makes a currency strong. Public confidence,
Yeah,
not really gold and diamond. It's
the
if
thing
the
is,
people like it's if the people like the money. It's
yeah,
if the
but
people like that
listen,
fares.
he
That's
can,
how it
but
has
what I have
value.
for you, Mr. He can fire. The thing is, you have to understand when you speak, we give you like 9, 10, even 15 minutes when you speak. When
Sorry.
someone is speaking, right, you have to allow them to make the point because sometimes people build their point. So I can
Okay,
start
no
from the
problem.
place of telling you Africa doesn't do X, Y, and Z. Then I begin to put the pieces in place. But when you intercept midway, when I'm trying to make a point, you don't get the point. The thing is, we all want Africa to have this currency, but you have to let the person make the point because once you just intervene, then it's of no use because you're talking to yourself. Basically, we just have to allow you give a lecture on African currency. But the thing is, it doesn't happen because African presidents just entirely hate Africa. They're incompetent. We know that, of course. But the intricacies of having a currency are much more than just wishful thinking or just saying that we just need to have it or just use the Ghanaian currency. Currency is very technical. It's very complicated. You know, there's just so many different moving parts, so many different variables that you must have before you have it. When I talked about external trade, 92%, because the thing is, you have to buy. Somebody has to buy from you. How do you do the currency exchange, a clearing market? Countries are going to deny using your currency. Like the gentleman was saying, that, you know, these things, they matter. Sometimes how you have to buy. African medicine, who produces medicine in the world? Do you buy 98% of your drugs?
But what's the reason why I stopped you? It's because I'm telling you that Africa has gold. Africa don't have to use. Hold on. No, wait. What I'm saying, Africa don't have to use fiat. It don't, especially when you're talking about buying planes or buying medical stuff. Africa can use gold and buy everything. But what I'm saying is, that's what I'm saying. We need a fiat. That's what I'm saying. We need a fiat currency so that we can buy sweets and little clothes. That's why we need fiat. A fiat currency or internet currency. I prefer fiat currency. You feel me? But what as I'm saying, you can't speak of Africa like it's broke or like it's people that live on a garbage heap. Africa has gold. Africa has gold. You have to speak that way too. You can't just speak, you hold on. You can't just speak like, oh, there is international trade, as if Africa cannot trade internationally.
Econ Fire. Econ Fire. Let me tell you something. My family's dealt in international trade, so I'm speaking from even experience. I have uncles that live in Sierra Leone, that was born and raised in Sierra Leone.
Okay.
And also, you know, of course, Nigeria. I have an uncle that's in South Africa. Whenever you're dealing with currencies, you're dealing with a store of value, and the value has to be backed by something. Yes, you can have confidence, but the confidence has to come from somewhere. Yeah. Whenever you're dealing with currency, even on a global scale, if I know that I'm holding $1,000 I know that that value of that money is only going to increase every time I go back to like a place like Nigeria. So if I hold $1,000 in 2021 and I come back in 2026 to Nigeria, that $1,000 is going to hold and increase in value when I come back to Nigeria.
Maybe
why that happens, even though the US dollar is decreasing in value, because it's designed that way. The US dollar is designed to eventually go to zero. This is actually how the bankers designed it, so they can institute a newer system. Now, I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I'm not even disagreeing with what you are saying or what Soap was saying. I'm trying to meet in the middle. I do agree that there would need to be, but you would have to have certain. I look at it like this: all of Africa, any leader within Africa, whether it's Ibrahim Traore or whoever, they can't concern themselves about the greater good about the rest of Africa. Like the EAS, if they do whatever they need to do to be strong, and it means the rest of Africa has to fall, so be it, right? That has to be the mentality they have to have, because you cannot force yourself to inspire other heads of states that don't want to be inspired. Most heads of states within Africa, particularly, you know, the ones that are, you know, that are from the French speaking and the English speaking colonies, their heads of state only view their country as a place to feed off the flesh of the country and take those resources overseas and enjoy the luxuries of Europe or Dubai. You know what I'm saying? So they're already running their countries into the ground. And quite frankly, we're entering into an age of World War III. So many of these heads of states and their militaries will be forced to join in whatever theaters of war that will be created out of this, because there's no doubt about it that there's a collision course that's going to rear its ugly head eventually. And that's where everything is kind of going. And so because that's coming down the pike, a lot of these countries have to be more in a more military posture, and a posture of self-preservation. And I think that Ibrahim Traore is actually in a better position because he is a military dictator, which that has the best outlook for his people. As long as something doesn't happen to him, he doesn't get killed, or let's say something happens to him and the next person takes over and they continue the goal, by 2030 EAS, particularly Burkina Faso, should be in a better position. And maybe, I think you said, I don't know if it was you said or somebody else, about, it might have been Cosmos, the world we're in is in a dog eat dog world. It's not about morality. It's something called might means right. I don't know if you ever heard of that term. Might means right. Who's ever able to be stronger and overcome the other people, they're the ones that are in the right. That's the world that we're coming into.
Power wins. That's the thing.
Yeah. Might means right. Morality doesn't matter. That's the world that we're entering into. That's why Dubai is actually, UAE is part of the reason why there's violence in Nigeria, because the gold that's in northwest Nigeria, it gets smuggled to Dubai. The same issue that's happening in Sudan.
Yeah, the same in Sudan. And,
so you could get on a plane in Nigeria and fly to Dubai with bars of gold and sell it in the UAE, as long as they don't compensate it at the airport. But once you land in Dubai, you can come out with your bag with your gold and go and exchange it for whatever kind of currency you're looking to get. And you better believe a Nigerian is not going to accept that in Naira. He's going to accept it in a higher store of value, a euro or the US dollar. And so that's the world we're entering into. Is, there is, to be honest, it's too late for Africa. Africa dropped the ball 50 years ago. It's too late for Africa.
And we're not doing anything. When I said we have not even put our foot on the first rungs of the ladder, because you look, when the US dollar came to be the dominant currency, Europeans actually exterminated themselves in World War II, and then their productive capacity manufacturing disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
Because of that, their currencies had no value. Absolutely. You don't have manufacturing, you're not going to have it. Then they went to the Bretton Woods Agreement. They actually handed their economies to the United States. It wasn't like America had the genius to become a superpower. It was given to America because Europe destroyed itself. That is why I'm saying for African countries, especially the Sahel, one of the things you do is production, manufacturing, start building machines. They must integrate themselves, all three countries. They should even, don't think of University of Bamako. They should even build a new centralized University of Technology, Engineering, Mathematics, and Medicine. Centralize it. Do competitive examinations within those three countries. Motivate their citizens. Get the best and brightest in medicine. Produce your own drugs. In engineering,
they are doing that. They're going to do all of that. I think they're going to do all of
your
that.
family, because once you have that a sustainability within yourself and you have your currency, once somebody is coming to you to use your currency and they know that you're not
but they don't have their currency.
What's that?
But they don't have their currency. That's the whole thing.
They have to do this groundwork. They have to build this capacity to make sure that once they have that currency, they have the capacity to drive that currency. You see, what helped the United States is that they didn't really participate in the Second World War because they fought outside of the United States. So America was still intact. Their production was intact. The euro was not intact. That's why it was handed to America. And America receives credit because any transaction in the world, America gets kind of like credit card interest on those transactions. So those are billions and trillions of transactions. It means everybody works in the world. America gets a commission. It's hard to kill that currency. That's why the dollar is good, because it's stabilized by all of us. Go make a Western Union transfer to your country. It ends up in the U.S. Treasury. U.S. has to call your country and say, we have your money. We're going to keep it. But, we can issue a treasury bond or something like that because we have confidence, but we have to pay our workers. Then Nigeria will say, okay, it's my money. I don't want to buy from China now. I'll take your treasury bond. What is the percentage? Then you work it out. Then they give you 15%. But America takes your money and puts in the IMF, part of that money, then calls you back to the IMF, borrow your money to you at an even higher interest rate. Basically,
you realize that the US dollar is more legal in Africa than all African currencies. Y'all realize that, right?
Yeah. If you go to certain countries, they don't even want to exchange your currency if you fly into their country.
I mean, any African country, if you know the exchange rate of something and you tell the person, I don't have local currency on me, can I give you $100 equivalent? The person is
Easily.
going to take it.
Yeah, you can go to the market right now and hand somebody a $5 bill, they'll take it.
Easily.
You know what I'm saying? But if you hand somebody a Ghanaian currency in the Nigerian market, they're gonna tell you to go away.
Yeah. And that you call public confidence. That's what it is. If you can spend the US dollar anywhere in Africa, you have the US dollar have public confidence.
Mm-hmm.
It just means that the Nigerian people don't have confidence that the CD has the value. You feel me? So that's all currency is. So as long as you can guarantee your currency not to exist,
mm-hmm.
and try to assume people's favoritism to the currency, it will be strong.
Well, it's interesting. I'm gonna throw you an alley. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give you a little something you probably either do or don't know. At one point, the Nigerian currency was stronger than the U.S. currency.
About
it was.
I know that.
And the reason why was because Nigeria was put into the OPEC deal when the agreement came to create the petrodollar, and because Nigeria had the Bonny Sweet crude oil, which you didn't need to do extra refinery for it.
But
this made the value of the what was known as the Nigerian pound.
But also, the people respected their country more at that time. So
I wouldn't really say so. I would say
yes, they did, because they had better facilities, they had better structure in the government at that time.
Well, during that time, vultures were running the country, though. It was a vulture country. It's just that because they got into that agreement, the OPEC agreement, that's what gave the confidence, because they were part of that group. Being a part of OPEC gave the confidence of the international community.
Currency. Okay.
Yeah, international community, because those vultures, once you get into like the era of like, and I wouldn't say Gowon was necessarily a economically corrupt man, because but once you get to
it is the oil that killed Nigeria currency, because the Europeans would not make Nigeria prosper with that oil, because it would be competition in riches.
Nigeria dropped the ball in the 70s when they had the surplus. When they had the surplus of money that was flowing in, the vultures were taking it out, and they were living lavish. You could even look at old. You could look at old documentaries in the 1970s.
A lot of them died with billions in the Swiss accounts.
You could look at some of these former heads of states and some of these other vultures, military governors. If you go back to their old houses, you could see old Mercedes-Benz and Rolls Royces that are just decaying, because after they died, no one was able to maintain them, because their kids was not. The kids ended up moving overseas. And
but talk about the billions that they died and left in Swiss banks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, that's what happened. They didn't reinvest the money, because if you look at Gaddafi, compare how Gaddafi ran Libya in the 90s and how in the 70s and the 80s, and compare that with how Nigerians heads of states in that same time frame. Libya had access to oil. But he invested in infrastructure, education, and health.
Yes, they did not care. They did not care about the people and made the people go down. That's how I see it.
Yeah, and because why? Because the heads of states don't believe there's anything as a Nigerian. They don't believe there's a Nigerian.
They were being tricked by white people. They love white people, so they were being tricked by white people. They got tricked to shut down their steel company.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
that
it
the,
was like
that the Russian,
98% finished, but
yeah,
they
that
didn't.
the Russian tried to build for them. They got tricked to shut it down. Imagine that.
Yeah,
Now
that,
Nigerians
that
is
was a big.
stealing. Now
I
the
don't know, man.
Nigerians is stealing the fucking manhole covers.
Oh
You feel
man.
me?
Yo, people are taking wires out of old, old electronics and taking the copper wires to sell them. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
scavenger country. It's become a
Yes.
scavenger country. I
Yeah,
mean, if you
and
want to
it's
see,
because they didn't spend back the money on the people in the 70s.
hey, look at this. If you go to Nigeria, if you look up on YouTube, you see like Nigerian celebrities coming to Nigeria. Look, you see grown men that are just beside themselves. They're
On
just
their knees.
losing their mind. Oh,
And
oh, oh, Burner, Adogu, oh,
like you're not a man.
bro. I'm telling you, 90% of Nigerians are in a psychosis that is insane, and it's
Of
terrible if
course.
you're in it. The people that are living there that have never stepped out of, because there's the ones that are like real businessmen, like legit. I ain't talking about guys that got money from the government.
Yeah, yeah,
Out
man. Real
real
legit.
businessmen that travel back and forth, they're the ones that know like how sick Nigeria is, but they know where their economic opportunity is. But you better believe they have long-term game plans. All their children are going to be overseas in Canada, going to school, going to college. Then some of them will come back and manage some of their businesses, or they'll have somebody else manage their business while they live in another country because they know that Nigeria is falling apart. And it's unfortunate. And the thing about it is, it's, I think one of the good things with some of the younger generation of Nigerians, not all, because some of them are still falling for the same okie doke. Even though Tinubu is a Yoruba man, we know that most Yoruba people would not vote for him. It's not like voting for like Abiola back in '93.
I mean, if you're a Yoruba, what part do you what why do you what business Yoruba have to have in Islam?
He's Yoruba Muslim.
No, I'm not Yoruba.
No, that's why I'm saying about Tinubu. If you're a Yoruba, what business do you have being a goddamn Muslim?
Well, you have to understand that Africans think if you ask even this
But
to somebody,
I know what went on. I know what went on. Because
right?
Islam was by force and Christianity was by seduction. So both of them is has separated Yoruba. You feel me? And Igbo. Both of them has separated them. Some are Muslim, some are Christian, and some are traditional people. So that now has divided the goddamn people totally.
Yeah, I think the Igbos are predominantly Christians. Yoruba, they have some Muslims,
But they got Igbo Muslims in the north.
Igbo Muslims in the north.
It's
Okay,
very small, and I
yeah,
know.
but Africans see themselves from a
less
religious
than
perspective
1%.
first than the tribe, because people think that they are Muslim first before they are Yoruba, and that is a contradiction. And people see themselves. If you ask many Africans,
same with the Christians.
They will honor Oyakilome as opposed to the Oba of their traditional kingdom. So the Obama want to talk about development, real stuff, engineering, and all of those things, for agriculture, using modern techniques. Oyakilome is going to tell them that, no, even for diseases, you have to pray. In his own words, he said faith-based treatment is better than medical treatment. How do you think those people in the church are going to start looking at maybe things like COVID, malaria, and all of those things when somebody tells them
idiots
first?
People idiots.
Well, I mean, I'll say this is like, it's a very complicated situation for Yoruba people because unfortunately, they've been heavily targeted they've had to fight off the influence of Fulani hegemony for a very long time, even pre-colonial period, even though
And what happened is when the Yorubas were able to stave off the overall Fulani invasion, what happened is that when the British came in, it kind of recirculated power in a newly defined state known as Nigeria, to where Fulani hegemony kind of became the status quo. So, and anybody who becomes head of state has to play by the Fulani rules.
But you know why? Because the Fulani are white lovers. They only like white people and Arabs. So what happened is the Fulani has always wanted to work with white people, and even now they will work with white people forever to fight against us. So that's what's going on. That has always been going on, where the Fulani um do anything that the white people wanted, and that's how I told you that they were always driving us south. You feel me? They were always driving us south for us to leave the north for the Arabs. You feel me?
I mean, Fulani has the Fulani problem in Nigeria is very, it's an evolution of how they've been able to maintain influence.
I think we need to go ethnic cleansing on the bitches and kill all the men.
And
That's what I think.
I'm gonna give you an example of how it happened. And I don't know how old the brother is that's from Nigeria, but when I was growing up,
whoa, I got to interject. The views and opinions of some of y'all on this platform did not reflect the views and opinions of Search of Uhuru. All right, we're not talking.
I'm not gonna be what's it called.
Dinus, you wanted to say something more? Go ahead, man. Let Dinus start, man. He the host.
Now he was just interjecting on that, and I'm gonna say this. I'm not gonna go on a tirade, anti-Fulani tirade. I'm just going into the history of how things occurred. Now, one of the things that the Fulani elite did smartly for their own sake was they pegged themselves to the Hausa to bolster their numbers. Essentially, they made Hausas their paper tiger to make themselves seem that they were made more numerous than they really were. That's why if you look up old articles, old books in the from pre-2010s, you're going to see House of Fulani as one ethnic group.
Yeah, but I don't care about that. I want to talk about the discipline of them. I want to talk about how we need to make them what you'd call convert, because a lot the Muslim community, they need to convert to change as men. They need to swear to convert. So we need to conquer them. We need to conquer them and make them convert from Muslim and make them disown this Usman Dan Fodio stupid guy who they worship. And that's the reason why Nigeria is in problems, because of Usman Dan Fodio and what he declared for the Fulanis to do. So if they are very determined, and they are very arrogant, and they are very nonchalant about our black human life. So I think that we need to target them, because these people are one of the reasons why we got enslaved. You feel me? And we need to find a way how to defeat these little bastards who will do anything to work with either Arabs or white people to work against us. You feel me? And that's what I want to talk about: how to get these people in discipline, because they are savages, and we are the humans. We are the civilized ones. And these people want to lay us down in the sand and cut our throats. You feel me? So there's no conversation to me. I don't see conversations with these type of people. I'm telling you, I don't see no conversation. I just see war the annihilation of all the men in that tribe. That's what I see.
How Fulanis operate within Nigeria is not how they operate across like other areas that they're in. The reason why they're able to operate the way that they are in Nigeria is because of the history going back to Usman Dan Fodio when he conquered, many of the Hausa states, and through that led to them having that influence to where they're able to influence a lot of the northern Muslims to basically do their bidding, whether it's serving military on their behalf, whether it's voting on behalf of most of the states. In the north, the governors are Fulani, even though Fulanis make up like 5 to 6% of the population of Nigeria. But the thing about it is, at the end of the day, the rest of the Nigerians, the other 94% or 95%, have nothing to blame but themselves for allowing that to happen. And part of the reason why they allowed that to happen, because Fulanis have been able to use ethno-religious politics way more efficiently to keep everybody else doing their bidding, even if it was against their own best interests. And
because the Christian set, they have no aim and no destiny, because that's what Christianity is. It gives you your aim and destiny is in the clouds. You feel me? And you belong in the sky. You feel me? But with the Muslims, and especially these chaotic what you call savage parasites, you feel me? They have their aim and their destiny is to conquer Nigeria and turn all these other tribes into their subordinates. You feel me? That's their aim and that's their destiny. And they have marked and targeted that. So therefore, there is no turning back unless we colonize them, in terms of we have to conquer them, and the men that's left, we have to make them swear an oath to what you call convert from and relinquish Islam. That's the only
I
way
agree
to
with you.
conquer these people.
I agree with you, man. I think that you got to pretty much slaughter them to the point where they abandon that theology that they're on, that belief system or
Yeah,
of
there's no
conquest
other
that
way.
they have.
Here's the reason
Because
why that's very hard to do, because you have the Hausa, and not all Hausas are like this. I know a Hausa guy who's pretty prominent on social media.
If the houses, if we go after,
anti-Fulani.
hold on, if we go after these Fulanis, there's a whole bunch of houses will join with us.
No. Well, this thing, there's a
So
lot of
all we have to do is trick them. All we have to do is say, listen, we are fighting for your land. Wait, man. All we have to do is tell them, Hausa, we are fighting to give you back your land. You will have total autonomy in this land. You will be the imam, even though we want to change you from Islam, but we're not going to tell them that. But we'll tell them that, listen, we will give you all the governance in this land. And the Muslim greed is going to kick in, and they're going to want that power. So they will work with us to get rid of these Fulani bastards.
It's not as simple. It's not as easy as you would think.
It's easy. It's easy.
Here's the thing.
Hey guys, we gotta close out. I'll be back on tomorrow though. Everyone, thanks so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, family.
Thank you,
man.
Thank you.
No problem.
Hey, respect my